veneno y la ambición.
Good morning. You're watching KBC Channel 1. It is Monday, the 17th of January 2022. And I'm Regina Manyara. Glad to have you on board this Monday morning. It's a little bit, cold within the capital city, so to speak. So if you haven't left the comfort of your home, well, dress appropriately. And be wary, those ones that use or get into town and approach the CBD using the Serena Road, I think.
Nyerere.
Yes, Nyerere, yes. Kindly, that one is closed off as construction continues taking a shape. Traffic Marshal A1, Doreen Aranga, is in studio with us, and maybe he's going to be giving us an update in regard to the expressway and where we at and the subsequent, roads that have been closed to pave way for that construction. Good morning once again. We are live and we welcome your feedback. You can reach us on Twitter at KBC Channel 1. My Twitter handle is at Ray Manyara. Introducing the rest of the crew before we get to those stories that have been making headlines in the last 24 hours. Ladies and gentlemen.
Gentlemen?
The ones who are on camera and those who are not.
Oh, you've played so much.
Did it safely.
Valentine's is coming. Where is your girlfriend? Where is your boyfriend?
Yes.
I'll be sitting at home, lonely.
How many days to go?
Less than a month.
Yeah.
We've officially crossed mid-month.
About a kind of snail pace.
I'm still in awe at how this is.
Actually, this month has gone by pretty fast.
Eugene.
Yes. All right, and now that I'm on camera. Hey, good morning, Kenyans. Thank you so much for joining us. Today is 17th, this particular day. IEBC announced that the mass voter registration, another cycle, is going to begin starting today, running to 6th of next month. So if you've not been registered as a voter, or you'd want to change your particulars, or probably for that matter, you want to change your polling station, this is the right time for you to do so. They are targeting to do at least 4.5 million new eligible voters this round, and they say that this has been necessitated by the funds that they were given by the government. Remember, there was some kind of a back and forth between the government and IBC, and right now IBC chair says that all systems go. My name is Victor Lo. Welcome to the program. Yebo.
Ichionade.
Achio maber means achio maber nimeamka poa.
Oh. So mimi nakuuliza ichio nade.
Yes. Oh. Meaning you.
Doreen. Ichio nade.
Achana na mimi. Achana na mimi.
Umekataa.
That rebellion. Achana na mimi.
It's Monday.
No.
Salimia watu, endelea.
Wewe kwanza, I'm still in what how this year's Valentine is really exciting you.
Go for it.
Kitenge, because me, I'm all for wins. Are you close to wearing kitenges?
Okay.
They're called tenges.
Endelea na kusalimia watu.
Anyway, good morning to you. And just as Regina has mentioned, yes, Nyerere Road has been closed. And that is actually what we'll be looking at today when you look at the traffic flow. There's some sections of Nyerere as well as State House Road, not just to pave way for the expressway. Remember also, the overpass and underpass along Langata Road is also taking shape. So actually, sometime last week, Kura had mentioned that there's some sections are along areas of Langata Road as well as also areas along Uhuru Highway which will be closed just because of that entire construction. So this is basically two kind of constructions which will be happening around that particular area in the city center. That is what we'll be looking at this morning when it comes to traffic flow. And also, in addition to that, we have a lot in store for you in terms of the different conversations that we have lined up for you this Monday morning. So stay put up until 10 a.m. And we thank you so much for joining us from right now up until the end of the show. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo.
Yeah.
Very well. You've heard from the rest of the crew, and I'd want to pick your questions just as, the beginning of this week. We're likely to see, or rather receive, the way forward when it comes to matters of the BBI reggae. And we're saying reggae, because it's a term that has been used when we have been talking about the constitutional change there. So what is at stake in essence? Well, 70 constituencies. If the judges say the BBI is constitutional, then can the country really create more constitutions before August 9th? That's one of the issues at stake, as the dates 18th and 19th are set to be when we will know the way forward in as far as the constitutional review is concerned, what we fondly refer to as the BBI. That will be coming up in detail as we focus on matters politics as well as those stories that have been making headlines. Now let's hit the road running, so to speak, and have a recap of what has been happening over the weekend in as far as matters political campaigns are concerned. And we start off with Deputy President William Ruto, who says the misuse of youth by the political class will no longer characterize heated elections in the event he assumes power in August 2022. Now, he was speaking at Jacaranda Grounds, Nairobi, where his rally was temporarily disputed by rowdy youth, claiming creation of perceived political bedrooms were fueling intolerance among the public.
Deputy President's remark on political intolerance was sparked by an attempt by some rowdy youth to disrupt his meeting in Jacaranda Grounds in Nairobi by hurling stones at the crowd attending UDA rally. The DP taking a swipe at politicians whom he claimed have been misusing the youth in spreading hate speech, violence and intimidation.
These young people you are using to throw stones, they are only available to you for the next 6 months. After that, these young people, they will be unavailable, because we will give them jobs and we will make them work for their sweat.
The DP saying false creation of political bedrooms in some parts of the country has been fueling political intolerance.
Bedroom ya Wakenya wote. Na hii ya makazi tutakuja na kukuja na kukuja na kukuja tena. Tunaelewana? Tunaelewana? We will not allow anybody to balkanize the country and create bedrooms. We will not allow anybody to instill fear in the people of Kenya by spreading violence.
An agitated deputy president who recounted the stoning of his motorcade in Kondele, saying such hooliganism will not distract his race to State House.
My friend, the master of violence, wewe umetupangia mambo ya fujo. Umetupangia mambo ya fujo huko Kondele. Umekuja hapa ukapanga fujo hapa Embakasi East. Wewe ndio signature yako tunajua. Hii mambo ya violence, Mr. Master of Violence, I want to tell you, this violence you have organized in this republic, and you want to use violence as a means to get to public office. I want to tell you, Mr. Kinendawili, you will not succeed.
The DP further pledged to deliver on the Jubilee Big Four's agenda and exuded confidence of emerging the victor in the August poll.
We expect from you, Bwana Kitendawili, an undertaking that when you lose the elections on the 9th of August this year, you are not going to organize violence. You are not going to swear yourself in. You are not going to organize maandamano. You are going to go home.
Youth are not going to be used as, tools to cause disruptions in matters of political campaigns going forward. Words there take home by Deputy President William Ruto there in his meeting that took place in Jacaranda yesterday. While that was happening, Amani National Congress leader Musalia Mudavadi vowed to change the country's political landscape in a week's time when the party holds its National Delegates Conference. Mudavadi was speaking in Nyamira, however, fell short of stating whether he will still vie for the presidency through a coalition or on his own.
Amani National Congress stalwarts have been categorical that even in One Kenya alliance, the preferred presidential candidate ought to be their party leader Musalia Mudavadi.
Sisi tunaomba, the only formula that we shall accept in One Kenya alliance ni kama Musalia atapeperusha bendera ya One Kenya alliance.
His absence at the recent Oka engagement raised eyebrows, but he said he was engaged in preparation for ANC National Delegates Conference slated for 23rd January.
Don't you think you're beating a dead horse here, in the sense that they had already made these declarations? All right? So I hope that now answers the issue, that there was any boycott or anything. I was busy, and I told my colleagues as such.
Without hinting at his next move, Mudavadi stated that his announcement at the NDC is bound to upset the political landscape.
Tafute namna haraka muende kwa runinga, kwa sababu siku hiyo tutakuwa na msisimuko wa ardhi kwa mambo ya kisiasa kwa taifa la Kenya.
Speaking in Nyamira, Mudavadi however dismissed claims of joining anyone ahead of the forthcoming general election.
Sitaki kutoa siri zote sahihi, kwa sababu nitakuwa nimetoa utamu na ladha kwa siku hiyo, na tutakuwa na mambo ambayo uamuzi wetu kama ANC kulingana na siasa yetu na siasa ya kitaifa tutakuwa tukizungumza pale.
Leaders accompanying him, led by Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja, say the country will benefit more from his presidency.
KBC wamezindua program ya mwisho ya kujisajili kama wapigaji kura. Tafadhali chukueni kura, kwa sababu kura yenu ndio itabadilisha maisha yenu. Sio kelele, sio kwenda kwa marallies na huna kura kwa mfuko. So tafadhali, sasa ile mass registration drive inaanza, na inaanza wiki ambayo inakuja. Tafadhali muende mujisajili ili tuwe na redi kubwa ya vijana ambao wataamua nani atakuwa rais, nani atakuwa governor, senator, MP, women rep hadi MCA.
Sakaja said Mudavadi is the best bet yet for Kenya and urged Kenyans to support his presidential bid.
Anajua watu wameingia wasiwasi, wanashangaa Musalia anafanya nini, anapanga aje. Muangalie vizuri, read his lips, watch his movements, hapo ndio serikali itapatikana. Sawa sawa.
The Musalia question continues to, run rife, especially when matters of, political associations or affiliations are concerned. And there's even a special report in one of the dailies that we have with us in studio. And the question why Wiper and ANC will be a headache for Deputy President William Ruto and ODM leader Raila Odinga. Some critics have come, or rather political scientists have come out and say that if Kalonzo and Musyoka stick together, they will change the two-horse narrative. But matters of politics, in as far as in-depth conversations are concerned, are going to be coming up in the course of this particular broadcast on Matters Eye on Politics with Victor Law. So you are in the right place. Now, talking about the election, the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission will today embark on the second phase of the voter registration that will take place in all the 1,450 county assembly wards across the country up until February the 6th. The commission targets to net at least 4.5 million new voters in the second phase of the mass voter registration exercise.
With less than 7 months before IEBC undertakes the 2022 general elections, the Wafula Chebukati-led commission embarks on the second and final phase of voter registration exercise from Monday 17th January to conclude on Sunday 6th February 2022.
We have our constituency election officers. They are also meeting stakeholders at the grassroots level. With those meetings, they are going to style their registration process according to that community. You see, we have to be community responsive commission. So if the women there are always at the water points, are always at the marketplace, that officer of IBC on the ground will make sure that the schedule that they put for the movement of the Kim's kit is according to the social-economic lifestyle of the people.
The second phase offers yet another opportunity to eligible Kenyans to register as voters, transfer polling station, or change their particulars, with the commission targeting to net 4.5 million new voters.
We have given kits at the universities, so our students will not have to go back to their rural homes to register. Our kits are open, that even if they're in Nairobi and they want to register, they will want to vote maybe in wherever in the country, Nakuru, they still can register within their school premises.
Registration of citizens residing outside the country will take place for 15 days from 21st January 2022. The commission will conduct the exercise in 12 countries, among them Burundi, Tanzania, Rwanda, Uganda, South Africa, United Kingdom, Canada, USA, South Sudan, Qatar, UAE and Germany. During the first phase of voter registration, the IBC Commission admitted that it failed to achieve its target of adding 6 million new voters to its register after managing to register slightly over 1.5 million new voters. Unfulfilled political promises, societal fatigue occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic, and lack of enthusiasm from political class were blamed for the voter apathy witnessed during the first phase of the month-long voter registration exercise.
Now, if you hadn't registered as a voter, this is a second opportunity to do so, so that come August 9th, that you will be casting your ballot and having your say, if not your wig. That is how democracy pans out. Matters Security, Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata has ordered the immediate reopening of all schools in Lamu West County of Lamu County from tomorrow, which is Tuesday. This follows deployment of a multi-agency security team to restore normalcy in the area.
The directive comes after the Coast Regional Commissioner John Elungata, in company of senior security officers from the region, held a meeting at Kibaoni Police Station to discuss the security situation in the county.
Kwa sahi tusikubali kuombwa ati tusichungie hii petrol station, sijui tuchungie hii, sijui nini posho mill, sijui tuchungie hii, sijui conservancy, hapana. Hawa wana watchmen wao wa kuchunga. Wewe ni mwananchi na yule adui anayetaka kumsumbua mwananchi.
Addressing the residents who are forced to flee their home seeking refuge at Angle Primary School following a suspected Al-Shabaab attack, the Coast Regional Commissioner urged the residents to go back home.
In fact, kazi yetu ingekuwa imekwisha, tungeambiwa yule mtu alichoma ile gari ya Amuranch, yule mtu alichoma wale watu wa Widho, walipita hapa, walikuwa watoto fulani, tunashuku ni fulani, hata kushuku tu, semeni tu mnashuku.
Elungata, assuring them of government support to build their lives, however, called on residents to cooperate with security officers in apprehending the criminals.
Na wazee wa mtaa tupalilie ground. Polisi waweze kupita na wanajeshi wakitoa wale watu ni wabaya ambao wanatusumbua. Kupalilia kufanya nini? Provide information na kutengeneza neighborhood watch.
A move the residents have welcomed, lauding the government for its swift action.
Tukikaa hapa sana, wataleta ng'ombe ndani ya mashamba. Tuambiane tu ukweli, sisi tunajua. So bwana RC, sisi hatutaki kukaa kwenye kambi, tunataka kurudi mashambani, lakini pia tunataka tulindwe.
Security was disrupted in the area following an attack early this month, leaving 13 people dead, including 4 police officers who were killed after their vehicle was hit by an explosive device. Following the attack, tension built in areas of Juhudi, Witho, Mashigoni, Kamukunji in Majembeni location and Bobo in Hindi location, resulting in residents fleeing to nearby schools for shelter.
Away from matters security, just a quick brief is that the country's positivity rate in as far as COVID-19 is concerned is at 7.8%. We're not out of the woods yet, so you'd have to take individual responsibility. This is after 310 people tested positive for COVID-19 from a sample size of 3,961. Now let's talk about history when it comes to matters of religion and church. Now the Presbyterian Church of Kenya, Kayole South, made history with the induction of the second Presbyterian Deaf Reverend in Kenya and East Africa. Reverend George Obonyo's induction is largely viewed as a move that seeks to enhance disability inclusion in church, a trend that the deaf community and people living with disability hope will be replicated in other churches across the country.
Sunday morning at the Presbyterian Church, Kayole South Branch in Nairobi County. Congregants are gathered here for a special service. A closer look at the congregants, you'll notice some using sign language during praise and worship. The choir is also conducting some of the songs in sign language. Disability inclusion in this church quite evident, with over 160 deaf people part of the church membership. On this day, the service is a rare one, as faithful here witness the induction of Reverend George Obonyo. Obonyo becoming the second deaf reverend for the Presbyterian Church in Kenya and East Africa.
The church would want to reach all her people. Different able-bodied people, they also need Christ in many ways. And therefore, the ministry and many others, we want men and women who are equipped by the Lord to go on and reach them.
We have the deaf people, the people who are disabled differently. We have the blind there. So we continue to serve them there. Being one community, we are going to care and encourage them that this is not the end. So as my role, I'm going to encourage everybody who is deaf in different places.
Reverend Obonyo will be in charge of the deaf ministries in the Nairobi East area. In a bid to also ensure children living with disability are not left out, the church also has a hearing impairment children's ministry.
We are privileged to have a Sunday school that accommodates the deaf people, that have interpreters who can interpret for the deaf, and we also have the deaf people who can teach the deaf children their own language.
The congregants with hearing disability hoping this gesture will be extended to other churches in the country in furtherance of disability mainstreaming across the board.
It is a prayer that the church will continue involving persons with disability, involving the deaf, and we want to thank God so much.
With the induction of Reverend George Obonyo, history has been written. It is a move that will see a more inclusive ministry where everyone counts. Nancy Okwari from PCA Church, Kariobangi South, Nairobi County.
A step in the right direction for matters inclusivity. Now, still talking about matters politics, Defense Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa has dismissed claims of growing division among Kenyans as the country heads to the general election, saying what exists is differences of opinion among the political class as they align themselves to their preferred candidates. Here is a roundup of what has been happening over the weekend in as far as matters politics are concerned.
Speaking in Mombasa, Defense Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa rubbished claims that Kenyans were divided as the country approaches the electioneering period, noting that differences of opinion should not be misconstrued to mean division of any kind.
I do not think it is true that there's any division. It is just a matter of choices, and the people are united. They are the leaders who are divided.
Wamalwa, however, gave the Azimio la Umoja movement a nod, calling on Kenyans to give Raila the mandate to lead when elections are called in August.
In good time, people, their choice will be known, and people are looking forward to a united country under Azimio la Umoja.
On the gubernatorial race, Nairobi lawyer George Kithi says he has to shelve his senatorial ambitions and instead contest for the Kilifi County governorship on the party ticket. Elsewhere, Meru Governor, who is also the leader of the Democratic Empowerment Party, Kiraito Marungi, says the party will not fold to join any other party, saying they will use the region's numerical strength to bolster the region's bargaining power in national politics.
Tukiingia musituni kuwinda kutafuta nyama, hata sisi tutakura, hata koja kupatiwa mifupa.
Meanwhile, KANU has exuded confidence that it will bag more seats in the forthcoming election. Nakuru County KANU chairman John Muthengo Njiri claims recent defections to the party are an indication of the strength of the party in the region that has been revamping in readiness for the August polls.
Mimi nimeresign kutoka UDA nikajoin KANU. Na sijakuja peke yangu. Nimejoin na watu 70.
In Isiolo, the race to the Isiolo North parliamentary seat continues to gain momentum, with the Asharaf clan of the Somali community endorsing Isiolo businessman Osman Sharif to contest. Announcing the decision, the Asharaf clan chairman Ahmed Sharif Mohammed said that it was time that Isiolo Central Division supports one of their own to ascend to the position in order to serve Isiolo people better.
Kwa hiyo tunaomba tafadhali ndio aendelee kuzidi kusaidia wananchi, tumpe kura na tumchague, ni mkaaji na mzaliwa hapa.
A similar situation is unfolding in Eldama Ravine after elders gave Halima Abdul the go-ahead. During the event, residents were encouraged to shun divisive politics.
Na tujiepushe na siasa ya fitina, siasa ya chuki, siasa ya ukabila na siasa ya kutatanisha wananchi. Hawa wananchi ndio wataamua ni nani watapatia awe kiongozi.
Now to the counties, more than 4,000 people in Mombasa are set to benefit from a free medical camp undertaken by the Pakistan Navy in collaboration with the Kenyan Navy. Elsewhere, security agencies have been urged to provide better platforms for sharing classified information to enhance security. Details of this and other stories in our County News Roundup.
Long queues were witnessed outside the Coast General Training and Referral Hospital at Chaani Outreach Center as patients sought free medical services. Today was the second and last day of the free medical camp organized by the Kenyan Navy in collaboration with their Pakistani counterparts and both levels of government.
As we engage in this, enhancing our good relations between the Kenya Defense Forces and the Pakistani forces, and we are looking at a defense cooperation agreement which is underway, and Her Excellency the Ambassador has assured us that come February we'll have the Joint Chief of Staff visiting us in Kenya.
In Migori, Suna West Member of Parliament Peter Masara has called for devolution of infrastructure funds for schools from the Ministry of Education to the constituencies, saying these will enhance service delivery.
What I want to request the Ministry of Education, how I wish they can devolve their infrastructure money so that each constituency each year can know the budget from the ministry, that we are receiving such amount of money, then we plan with the money allocated to us.
On community policing, security agencies have been urged to provide better means of sharing classified information. Speaking at Nyakianga Police Station in Mathioya Sub-County, Ahadi Kenya Trust Executive Director Stanley Kamau said instances where informants are required to testify in court deter sharing of information.
We need to protect that informers, and the only way we can be able to do that is through information boxes.
And a family in Malaba is yet to come to terms with the death of one of their own who was found lifeless after morning prayer at the Malaba Jomaya Mosque. It is unclear how he died, only that the mosque was flooded due to heavy downpour in the morning. Hassan Abdallah has left behind a widow and 4 children.
Naibu wa imam akaja kuangalia, akapata kweli maji yamejaa kwa msikiti kwa wingi kabisa. Lakini na yeye cha ajabu kaniambia, lakini ndani ya msikiti kuna mtu amefariki. Asijue kwamba ni ndugu yetu ambaye tunafanya ibada naye kila siku. Baada ya muda alipochunguza, kaniambia na si ndugu yetu Abdallah.
Meanwhile, another family in Mumias West is in agony after they found the body of their son hanging on the roof. The 30-year-old is said to have been embroiled in a land ownership tussle with an uncle. According to his father, Pascal Mukuyu, his son had paid his uncle 120,000 shillings for a piece of land that his uncle in turn sold to someone else. The area chief said the investigation into the incident has begun.
Nikasema na leo mbona haendi kazi, ama leo mbona hakuamka mapema. Fanya nilisukuma mlango, nikaona mlango ni msitu. Fanya nikasukuma akaanguka, nikapata yeye amekufa.
That puts a cap on Matters News, but just to bring you up to speed with what is happening in the Africa Cup of Nations, well, other than trading blows there, where Ghana has banned its forward, Benjamin Tete, for 3 matches after he punched compatriot, their rather opponent, in their game against Gabon. The fixtures are as follows. As we proceed, I will be giving you today's fixtures. We are looking at Burkina Faso versus Ethiopia, as well as Cape Verde versus Cameroon. Now it seems that Cameroon is really eyeing the last 16 slot with a perfect record so far. And talking about perfect records, let's have a look at what happened in yesterday's matches. We have Ivory Coast versus Sierra Leone that ended in a 2-2 draw. Algeria and Equatorial Guinea. Well, Equatorial Guinea beat Algeria 1-0. Group F, Gambia and Mali ended in a 1-1 draw, while Tunisia and Mauritania in Group F, still Tunisia thrashed Mauritania 4-0. We'll be keeping tabs on what is happening as far as AFCON is concerned. Today's fixtures are as follows: Burkina Faso versus Ethiopia, Cape Verde versus Cameroon. We'll be keeping tabs on what is happening, and so much is happening, especially in as far as discipline cases are concerned there. Ghana, they are banning 3-match ban for its forward, Benjamin Tete there. That is a wrap in as far as in the headlines is concerned. You can get further details on our website, that is www.kbc.co.ke. We take a quick breather. When you're back, we're going to be sampling the various dailies that we have with us in studio. Do not go away.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Show. St. Pauli to the round of 16. The defending champions are through.
Did you kiss my friend An Qinghuan?
Yeah.
Don't you dare tell me that you two are only friends, huh?
I've already survived death. I'm not afraid. And you?
She said she'll be at this hotel at midnight, and that I should surprise her.
I'm not the jealous type. You don't love him. You were just satisfying your ego by helping him. But you'll only make him want to depend on you even more. You're not helping him at all. What he needs right now is to suffer and learn to be independent.
有一段故事建筑一座城堡，会放进去后就不再。
Right, and now on to the headlines on what we have on our local dailies. Raila taps governors for Azimio vote hunt. That's what's on the front page of the Star newspaper. Raila taps governors for Azimio vote hunt. County bosses have massive resources and structures at their disposal, and he's seeking grassroots influence and support to propel his bid. I'll give you more details shortly, and we also have almost half a page of the picture there where there was some police officers lobbed tear gas yesterday at rowdy youths who attempted to disrupt Deputy President William Ruto's speech at Jacaranda grounds in Embakasi yesterday. Ruto to ex-Prime Minister, commit against mass action if you lose against election. That's what's on the front page here, as well as Kalonzo and Jimmy Wanjigi dalliance signals possible entry to Wiper Party. Interesting. NCIC's tough task in taming loose tongues during campaign period. So far, Linturi is still, answering to questions with authorities as well, but he's out on bond. Cleophas Malala, the senator of Kakamega, also recorded a statement last week with the NCIC. And yesterday, DPP Nordin Haji says that more of the leaders are still in the police radar and they will be taken to court. Mudavadi tells supporters to prepare and expect a major announcement, and he says that This comes, he also denied snubbing allegations on the Friday's Oka meeting in Elementaita. He said that his supporters should brace themselves for a major announcement on January 23rd during the NDC. Mudavadi said that he was engaged in organizing ANC's National Delegates Convention at the Bomas of Kenya in Nairobi, where he will make the announcement. That's why he didn't show up at the Oka meeting in Elementaita of the weekend. And yes, that's as far as politics concerned, you know. But the question is, you know, even the cartoon that we have right now is, I don't know if the camera can capture this one. Perhaps, please excuse me, we can get this. We have the cartoon there. The flag bearer. We have the caricature. The choice of flag bearer is in high gear. Down there we have got Gideon Moi. We have got Kalonzo Musyoka, Mudavadi, and Weta. And Oka flag is actually full mast up there. So they're scrambling for who is going to be the flag bearer. There you go. Yeah, perfect. There you have it. So it's back and forth on who is going to be the flag bearer of One Kenya Alliance. Again, Shock Azuman hangs self after poisoning 2 children. The 29-year-old woman said that she accused her husband, who is a military officer, of engaging in relationship with other women. And yeah, so that story of Raila tapping governors for Azimio la Umoja August poll vote hunt, it says that ODM boss Raila Odinga hopes to make at least 30 governors backing his Azimio la Umoja to clinch the presidential campaigns, expanding his state house bid. Now Raila has convened a high-level talks with the governors today in Naivasha to craft a deal and spell out their role in his presidential campaigns. Again, now that the voter registration is also beginning today, they're also going to strategize on how the governors will use this opportunity to net eligible voters, especially in Azimio strongholds, to register as voters. And there is raft of actually a list of 30 governors supporting Azimio la Umoja out of the 37, starting from Kiraitu, James Ongwae, etc., etc., etc. So there you have it. Yes, as far as politics is concerned, Jen.
Right, now let's come to the Daily Nation, but before we do that, nimeambiwa kwanza tuende kwa People Daily, tuone watu wanasemaje huko.
Begin with that story, which looks like it's also on the PD. This is in Gitwamba village in Kakuzi, that is Gatanga Muranga, whereby the woman just went to kill her 2 daughters. After that, she committed suicide, and of course blaming that on the extramarital affairs with the husband. Away from that, the rowdy youth disrupt Ruto's Jacaranda rally, which happened in Embakasi. And part of what the deputy president said as he got the chance to address residents there is that he appeared to blame that particular incident on ODM leader Raila Odinga, and he challenged him to assure Kenyans that he will accept results if he loses the August 9th general election. That's just part of what he said. As away from that, the IEBC embarking again on another new voter registration targeting about 4.5 million voters. This exercise will take a total period of 3 weeks, and also in addition to that, they will again also conduct diaspora voter registration between January 21st and February 4th. And this is the embassies in the UK, US, Germany, Canada, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, as well as South Sudan. So again, aspirants are just making every effort to entice the eligible but unregistered voters in their strongholds to enroll in this particular exercise. The IEBC had done this sometime last year, but they didn't quite meet their target, and this is why they're doing the last one, at least this year. So state again to set up 1 million kitchen gardens. This is just to ensure they fight malnutrition, and they're set to get a boost after the government launched an initiative to establish 1 million kitchen gardens in the country. So again, when we get to those details, I'm telling you which particular counties the state is planning to do this and why those particular counties, even as they're in a bid to fight malnutrition. We also have that particular story on Musalia Mudavadi. And again, the question that perhaps a number of Kenyans are asking is that anytime ANC or any party allied to OKA anytime there's just one of them either speaking, is that they're always holding meetings to set up the next meeting. So this Sunday, as we expect Musalia Mudavadi to perhaps say whatever it is that Kenyans have been expecting, maybe this is just going to be the last time that we'll be expecting this to be happening, and perhaps to just go ahead and either say whether or not he's going to be on the ballot, or if he's actually planning to join any of the two major parties that are coalition rather that are already there in existence. And also, abductions send chills amongst rights activists. This is just a statement that was released by Haki Africa, whereby they're saying that it's becoming a bit difficult for them to champion or fight for rights of persons simply because their lives are being put in danger. And this is after one of them was found dead, and now they're calling on the government to see how best they can at least assist them on that, if at all they need to continue to fight for rights of Kenyans in different particular divides. And lastly, state orders schools in Lamu to reopen. This is after some of those schools were closed because of the recent attacks that have been happening in that part of the coastal region of the country, that is specifically Lamu County. This is after 7 persons, died in that area. And again, the government as well as the county government has come up to just ensure they at least set up different multi-agency security teams in that particular area. And this is why they're calling on these various schools to reopen after they did that. In fact, the Coast Regional Commissioner, that is John Elanguta, was there over the weekend, assessed the situation. And this is why he says, much as they had been attacks over the past weeks, based on the kind of security they've put up in the place, it's about time they open the schools. Ray.
I have the copy of the Standard with me this morning, being the 17th of January. A sneak peek to that particular daily looks as such: matters of politics taking center stage in the big read. And the question is a fresh battle to save the BBI reggae. In a nutshell, it has highlighted who filed the case, what is at stake, and what does it mean. Let's zero in on what it exactly means if it sails through. If it's a victory for Uhuru and Raila, it will unlock the law to review the process. And for Deputy President William Ruto, whose advisor filed one of the cases challenging the BBI, it will be he will have stopped the push for the referendum. While for the electoral body that begins phase 2 of mass voter registration, it will be the question of quorum. The question of quorum will be settled, and this will have a major implication on its work. Also looking at, in a nutshell, what is at stake, especially, in as far as the constitutional review of this particular case is concerned. First, the High Court and the High Court of Appeal said the BBI was unconstitutional. So will the Supreme Court agree or overturn the verdict? Secondly, if the judges say that the BBI is constitutional, then the country can the country create more constituencies, and will this be done before the August elections? Question to ponder on that. And also the issue of, can the president be sued? This is among the 7 questions that the Supreme Court will have to decide on, and the dates are the 18th and the 19th of this month. And that is what we have on the front page of the Standard this morning. And also matters of politics now, but now looking at allegiances, or is it going to be a 2-horse narrative? The question of Wiper Kalonzo Musyoka as well as ANC Musalia Mudavadi. Are they running alone, or what would happen if they decided to form a pact? Would they change the narrative? Well, this is a particular special report by this particular scribe in this particular paper, being the Standard this morning. That's just but a sneak peek of what we have on the front page of this particular daily. Jane?
Now, let me just pick up from that political note and bring you to the front page of the Daily Nation. Not much has been featured here in regards to politics, just one where the Ruto-Raila teams go on an online fierce battle for votes. The race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta is fueling a lot of nasty cyber warfare between the rival political factions, with the dirty propaganda and misinformation becoming more and more intense as the clock ticks towards the general elections on the 9th of August this year. We'll be giving you details in a bit. But looking at the main story here, this is in regards to the SACCOs, and the question is, are your savings at risk? This is a whole story looking at a report that was recently put out, and it focused on the IT state of the SACCOs in our country, saying that, rather questioning if your money is safe within the SACCOs. They did a survey and featured about 111 SACCOs, and according to a report that was also put out last year in October, SACCOs were losing about 6 million each month. 6 million each month. SACCOs are losing them due to the loopholes that are there on their cyber network of the divide, because most of them are yet to implement proper data security and data measures to ensure that all the information and all the money that their members are having with them is safe. So that is a story that has been featured here. I'll be giving you details of this particular story in a bit. And then there's an interesting story here concerning the sacking of a cleric, which has sparked a lot of an uproar. And this is what happened in this past Sunday, or rather the past 2 Sundays. This is in Nyeri, where the congregants of a particular church have been attending service outside the church because the parish father was sacked because of not being married. Apparently, he was given a 6-month ultimatum mid last year. He was told he needed to marry by the close of the year in December, or else he would lose his job due to his unmarried status. And after the 6 months lapsed, he is yet to get a wife. So 2 weeks ago, he was fired from the particular parish by the head of the Mount Kenya West Diocese, saying that, we cannot have an unmarried member among us. And this is something that the congregants are still very angry about, and they have actually refused to attend service inside church and actually go to this particular gentleman's home and escort him to church, and they conduct mass outside the church's gate in protest for his reinstatement. Interesting times. And finally, there's a piece here concerning a Kenyan scientist whose drug can help tackle COVID-19. This is a case study that was done. Let me just quickly take you through this story, because these are the good things that, we love to celebrate as a Kenyan and also as a program here. This is the story of a doctor called Dr. George Njoroge and his team at Merck Pharmaceuticals. And they are said to have developed a drug that has demonstrated good potency in inhibiting COVID-19 proliferation in cells. And according to the research that has been done so far in peer reviews, they found that it had a strong binding to the enzymes that coronavirus uses to process its proteins. And this in turn gives a good defense mechanism for the bodies. So its effectiveness is estimated to be at 89% rather, if it's taken within the first 3 days of the onset of the symptoms. So this drug is actually developed. It is meant for the treatment of hepatitis C. But according to research that has been done, we're still in that space where they're trying to find the best potential solution towards battling the pandemic. And looking at this drug that was initially intended for the treatment of hepatitis C, it seems to be having an 89% effectiveness potency when it comes to the fight against COVID-19. But if taken within the first 72 hours from the onset of symptoms. That is the front page of the Daily Nation for you this morning. Doreen.
All right, let's come to the PD, and maybe I can just begin with this particular story or article that highlights what the president has done in this 10 years. When it comes to the healthcare system. In fact, it says that on healthcare, Uhuru's scorecard is actually the best in history. So after all the presidents that we've had, his is the best in history. Just going further to say that when he took over the reins of power in 2013, President Uhuru Kenyatta promised that his administration would actually transform the public healthcare system in the country. At that time, the government allocation on healthcare was at 6.5% of the national budget. Consequently, the public healthcare was largely dependent on donor funding, and health facilities were few purely staffed, and drugs were inadequate in the available facilities. And many Kenyans had to travel to the nearest urban centers to get medical services and for more severe cases. But that is not quite the case, as since his tenure, he has tried to improve the healthcare system, and that's why this particular article just highlights. In fact, when you get the paper and read more of it, because a very long article that just highlights the different works he has been doing when it comes to the healthcare system. And also, speaking of his scorecard, another one just highlights what he has been doing, especially when it comes to infrastructure, and this is particularly on the roads. And clearly, perhaps you can look at his regime as one that has really tried to ensure that most of the roads in the city and even beyond are perhaps either constructed, expanded, rehabilitated, or thereabout. And this is also part of what shows his scorecard in this 10 years, what he has done in most of these roads, just to try and ensure that traffic is reduced, given the fact that as a country we end up losing a lot when it comes to heavy kind of traffic, and not forgetting also the kind of goods that end up getting spoiled or just getting bad along the way, most especially the perishable kind of goods. So again, also this particular article highlights what is done not only in the healthcare system, but also when it comes to on the transport sector. And also we can just perhaps look at this particular story and in what has been happening in Lamu County over the past number of weeks, whereby the state is now ordering schools to reopen in that particular county in the coastal region, and the government has now ordered the immediate reopening of schools in Lamu West sub-county, particularly that particular area of Lamu County, which are closed as a result of recent suspected Al-Shabaab attacks in that region. This is after the government deployed more security personnel following the death of 7 people in the raids. And again, you can remember that also sometime last week, but one as well as also last week, the security forces had at least arrested some persons who were linked to this particular attacks. And also there's a close linkage when it comes to land issues in that particular county that has resulted to this number of killings and deaths that have been happening in the same county. And also the Coast Regional Commissioner, that is John Elanguta, toward that region, and he was accompanied by the Coast Regional Police Commander Manasseh Musyoka over the weekend, and they deployed a multi-agency security team to restore normalcy in that area. So some of those schools that have been ordered to reopen include Juhudi Primary, Salama, Holy Angle, Mjambeni Primary, as well as secondary school. Those specific schools in Lamu West sub-county, which had been closed because of those attacks, have now, as mentioned by the Coast Regional Commissioner, they have been ordered to reopen in that particular county, saying that much as there had been unrest over the past few weeks, at least given the kind of multi-agency security team that they have deployed in the area, at least it's going to be easy for the students there, because again, they also have to continue with their learning. But it's now time for us to take a very quick break. We return with more of what we have for you in the different dailies that we have this morning.
Did you kiss my friend An Ching Huan?
Yeah.
Don't you dare tell me that you two are only friends, huh?
I've already survived death. I'm not afraid. And you?
She said she'll be at this hotel at midnight, and that I should surprise her.
I'm not the jealous type. You don't love him. You were just satisfying your ego by helping him. But you'll only make him want to depend on you even more. You're not helping him at all. What he needs right now is to suffer and learn to be independent.
用一段故事建筑一座城堡，回忆放进去后就不再。
aje nyumbani kwangu aeke mkutano vile anavyotaka yeye. Nani huyu?
Mungelikuwa umenisikiza toka awali asingefikia hapa.
I'm asking you, what are you doing outside? Do you know the break time was over 10 minutes ago?
Kate hayupo hai. Sio imetosha? Wewe umemua wewe.
Sasa niambie, nini yongangania mali ya watu? Si wapi tu mali yao.
Ninachokitafuta hapa ni personal. Na sihitaji mlinzi,
want.
Well, if that's the case, I quit.
You're
I
not
mean
threatening
it, Dad.
me.
I've had it.
I need to go back to Pueblo to fulfill my grandfather's lifelong dream. I'm going to build his clinic.
It is part of his plan to have Santiago marry the poor soul Renata, who, by the way, is so rich that she's rotting in money. If you can't defeat that enemy, join her.
Because the red money is missing and the boss is going to be furious.
What do you mean the money's missing? I'm here because I'm going to Pueblo with you.
I'm not worse than Saint Lucia. She had her own skeletons in her closet. That's why she ended up murdered.
Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición.
And welcome back. Good Morning Kenya continues, and still on the Star newspaper here. Committee will not call for mass action after loss, Ruto tells Raila. DP claims ODM leader has resorted to intimidating him for the last 4 years without success. You know, in politics, it's all about propaganda, and that is the rule of the game. Deploy your propaganda effectively. So the DP says that he's challenged ODM boss Raila Odinga to commit that he will not call for mass action if he loses the August 9th general election. This even as the DP plans to storm the former Prime Minister bases in Nairobi on Monday in his battle for the control of the capital city. On Sunday, Ruto hit out at Raila hours after the latter threatened to jail the corrupt should he win the presidency. That's there. And cops top DP allies meeting with Kikuyu elders in Kitale. Police boss says that the team did not have permit to hold gatherings. The MPs included Rigathi Gachagua, Kimani Ngunjiri, Alice Wahome and Jane Kihara, who had earlier attended a service at the Presbyterian Church of East Africa at Section 6, just a kilometer from Kitale Central Business District. Kalonzo Wanjigi, Delians signals a likely wiper deal. The businessman attended a meeting by Musyoka at his Yatta home on Saturday. And Wanjigi, a former ally of ODM boss Raila Odinga, has broken ranks with the Orange Party over his aggressive push for the outfit's presidential flag. The businessman on Saturday attended a meeting by Wiper leader at his Yatta home and trashed Raila as a dictator. Although Wanjigi never directly responded to Kalonzo's request for him to ditch ODM for the Wiper party, he left no doubt on his political direction. And let me quote him: "My name will reach and I will come back to this place. Support us." All right, you can read in between the lines. That is there. All right, there is a headline here. After Mike Sonko disaster, will Nairobi residents put another joker at City Hall? 3 women are in the race, plus Senator Sakaja, MP Wanyonyi, and billionaire businessman Ngatia. We have got Anne Kananu, who is the current governor. We have got Johnson Sakaja, who is the senator, and Esther Passaris, who is the woman rep. Nairobi has a total of 4.4 million people, including me. Number of constituencies are 17 and 85 wards. So it's a full profile here of how Nairobi is and supposed to be governed. And he says that, you know, world over capital cities are governed either by a mayor or governors. But that, in Kenya, sometimes they say that has been broken, the protocol. And finally, how much have you loaned your friend? This is January, and let me start with you, Regina. Have you loaned anyone this month?
Even before the month began.
Yes.
So yes, that happens quite often. So
in January, cartel.
Yeah.
In January, yes.
I come from a school of thought that if I have a little surplus,
yes,
and it's not an emergency, and someone else has an emergency, why not? So the least you can be is kind.
Can I come to your desk? Can I come where you are? We tuonge.
If it's an emergency, yes, but and not just to give money simply because they're there. Because my reasoning is this: you have the basic. You have a roof over your head. You're not hungry, neither are the children hungry. You can come to work and leave. You're not sick, or you have a sick person in hospital.
Yeah.
Someone comes to you and tells you, you see, my children are sleeping on the floor, and you have extra. You give it to them. I am a fond believer of kindness and generosity.
You sound diplomatic.
No. I'm just stating because I practice that. I live that, and I'm not saying it because I need an accolade, but I have done that. I think for the last 3 weeks, I can say I'm very proud of myself because I have furnished a home for a mother and her 3 children. I have helped with some uniform, some lady with some uniform that I did not require. I have done much, and I've given money where you can give. You never know. My mom taught me this while growing up, that an outstretched hand to give will also receive.
Okay, all right. Doreen, a month too, or rather, what's the biggest amount you loaned someone?
Let me just say, this month I have also assisted someone, and just like Regina, I'm also from that school of thought. If there's a surplus, that's when, because when there's a surplus, because I mean, also as individuals, you also have your own budgeting. You budget for this, that. You also want to save. Like for me, I'm really big on saving a lot. I also want to save. I want to do some other development projects. So when there's that surplus and you come and ask when there is that surplus, that is when I give. Yes.
You share.
Yeah.
I think it's not the amount, Victor.
No, it's even in kind.
Yes, even in kind. It's just the generosity. However, being January, everyone needs something. Everyone needs everything. And even the schools, private schools, also want something from the Ministry of Education. They say that now the state needs to come in and fund extra classrooms. Yes, but now CS Magoha amesema watu wajipange.
So ni kusaidiana.
Actually, in January, these are his words. He says, sort yourselves out.
So this is where we have the brotherhood and sisterhood.
My friend in Asia. But I think it also comes to how do you know this person?
Yes.
And I read a comment somewhere saying that if you're giving, expecting something in return, that's a business. But if you're giving, not expecting anything in return, that is kindness. But then there are those friends who you give or borrow from, and they assume totally that they did not tell you they're going to repay that.
Let's go with Jen.
Just what because you're friends.
I have, in one way or the other, I do not want to get to the details, but I have made the situation easier for someone. Yeah, and it's not necessarily financial.
Good. So the reason why I'm asking this question is that court has allowed Jack and Jill proprietor to attach shares in 167 million shillings debt. So this is what happened. The total amount loaned was 477 million. Okay, the owner of Jack and Jill gave to a friend.
Ati?
Yes.
The owner loaned 477
million
to a friend.
So the High Court has allowed the proprietor of Jack and Jill supermarket, Koko downtown, to attach shares in 8 companies linked to a businessman who had refused to pay a debt of 167 million shillings. Now, Sean Ahmed Nurani has been battling to recover the amount loaned to a friend, Rajendra Ratiral Sanghani, over a decade ago. So the total amount accumulates to 477 million.
Uni plus interest.
From 167 million.
Yeah.
Yes.
Over 10 years.
Over 10 years.
That's possible.
Jeez.
So
yes, it is.
Wait, nipe milioni zangu. So how do you say, I need my 167 odd, I need my 300 million, I need my 4...
Niko na form hapa hivi, suniwaika 168.
What were the terms?
Nitakusort.
Was there any signed agreement?
What were the terms? You see,
I think this is the other side of lending money to friends.
What were the terms?
But you see, even if you're lending to friends, depending on the amount, I mean, there just needs to be some form of agreement.
What were the terms when
your relationship
when
with
you're
that
giving,
particular?
when you're giving, or even when you're asking for these monies, is it please niokole nikipata nitakuregeshea?
I think this is the basis
Ama I need money
for business, because Jack and Jill owner was a businessman. You know, he was
there must have been an agreement.
Yeah. But then 147 million, now going up
10
to
years.
Over 10 years, 477 million. And he's been battling that case for over a decade.
That's why I'm saying God has also been faithful. I think the creator of Jack and Jill. Supposing something had happened and maybe either he got maimed and could not remember, lost his memory, or even, God forbid, he died.
But then see, we have you know, the stakeholders, we have got people who have got shares in the board, they would still continue the case.
But you know, there are those who say lend out money that you can do without.
They're called, it's actually in business, it's called a calculated risk. That's a calculated risk. If I give this money, can I survive if
without
I do not
in the event?
Yes. Calculated risks.
I'm sure akipeana hiyo time he didn't necessarily need it, because I mean it's not pocket change pia.
But over decade
and way
ago,
back then money had more value than it does now. You know,
167, you can imagine, over a decade ago.
But again, also I'm thinking about those friends that just take advantage of the fact that we are friends. Utaelewa tu, you know, I mean,
leave alone even friends. Let's talk even about family.
Oof.
Family.
Are we ready for such conversations?
Family.
Inaitwa black tax.
Who believe Victor namonanga kwa TV kila siku anakuanga amevaa suti, he can afford to, that is loose change to him. So they will never pay you back. And when they are making, actually when they don't borrow, they make demands. Mine
are mostly harambes, by the way.
And they make demands just because of the kind of relation that you share. If it's a brother, a sister, a friend, a colleague, and they imagine, Regina, si utaelewa tu hata nisipokurudishia.
Uni dadangu. Tumetoka mbali. Hey.
Okay.
And you see, there are those who lend and they do not know how to ask back. Like, ile pesa yangu sunirudishie. So it's upon you to just do due diligence.
What was it? Utamu wa deni ni kulipa. I think utamu wa deni ni kulipa. In other words, but I think people need to honor. Yeah, you honor. Your word should be your bond. So if you come to someone and tell them you need money X and you will repay, kindly do so. Don't lose a friend over something that, you know, is temporary. Today it's them. Today that day was you. You never know. They will maybe, you know, blessed twice over. But I think you will need them once again.
Yes. I think where many people go wrong is the lack of communication therein. Because yes, unaweza kuwa ulitisha alafu mambo ikaenda venye uko umepanga, but sasa unakataa kushika simu, hautumi message kuambiana, things have not gone as planned, allow me some little more time to go around it and make sure I get it back to you. Unapatanga hapo ndio watu sawa washiki simu, akipigiwa, I'm always busy, niko kwa mtano nitakupigia, ama aseme nitakupatia kesho ikifika.
MIA. Courtesy.
Communication, it goes a long way.
And I think that's the point. Don't even wait for the person who lent you that money to be the one calling you after that date. Be the one telling them things. They are just saying things didn't go well. Usingoje tena anze kukuuliza ndo tena uanze kukosa kushika simu. Just be the one telling this person. I believe also they would understand, especially if it's a friend or a family member. If you're genuine, they would understand.
Yep.
Now, let me bring your attention also to a story that is a special report on my science, health and science in this particular daily. So apparently, Kenya has only 500 gynecologists, but none in Wajir County. Yes.
Yeah, that explains why.
Kenya has only 500 gynecologists, but none in Wajir County. Further on in statistics in this particular report is at 9,826. That is the total number of doctors licensed to practice in Kenya, out of which 2,606 are specialists that are serving 50 million people. Now, the current ratio, doctor to patient in the country stands at 1:10,000. 1:10,000. What the World Health Organization recommends is 1 to 1,000.
And we wonder why healthcare is so expensive in Kenya, why people have Harambes every week.
I've brought up that conversation because we have been looking at what has been happening in Parliament when it comes to matters of the NHIF bill. And Kenyans have come out and say that, in as far as the government has outlined that, universal healthcare is one of the big four agendas that should be, realized actually by this year. And they're calling out and saying that the cost of healthcare is beyond the capability of a majority of Wanjiko. Now, statistics here are glaring when it comes to gynecologists, so to speak. 500 in the country, but none in Wajir County. So, according to Kireki Omwana, the president of KOBS, he says mothers die in this country because they are never checked by a specialist doctor. You remember there was that particular case some years back of Mugo Wairimu.
Yep.
The infamous or famous, depending. Mugo Wairimu.
Where you stand.
A man who had been practicing as a gynecologist and OB. But now currently he's serving a jail term. So when you're talking about where we are going in as far as the country is concerned, politics and such, matters of healthcare, do you think we have given matters of healthcare priority? Let's start off with Doreen. Have we done what is proper in terms of policy and the implementation of these policies?
Let me just start from a very recent story which was just happening in the coast region. I think it was about last week but one, whereby health workers had actually staged a strike because of lack of payment for a total period of 3 months, as well as also having too much to do. This is them having a lot of work to do, yet they haven't been paid for 3 months, and they were also urging the county government as well as the national government to look for ways in which they can employ more officers, and these are particularly clinical officers as well as nurses. Backtrack it a bit, when COVID hit the country, we were hearing of cases time and again of health workers saying government needs to do this for us, they need to give us proper PPEs, they need to give us at least time to even relax and rest, they need to ensure that they give us at least more money because now we are overworking. And it was a constant, if I can say, complaining, which was coming from a place that you clearly understand of these health workers. And I don't think there's a time that it goes in this country whereby we've not heard of health workers either planning to go on strike. Yes, in the coast region, they called off that strike, and this is after county government had their plea, but again, after they had just said that they wanted to go on a strike. So when it comes to policies and what you're doing as a country, I really don't think, much as yes, I just read an article there that shows how much the president has done compared to his 3 predecessors when it comes to the healthcare system in this country. But then again, yes, we might be doing something, but are we doing enough? And in which areas are we doing this enough? Could be in one area, but what about the other areas? And we talk about especially women in those part of the country, northeastern part of the country. Most of them don't even know what giving birth in a hospital really is. But because then these people that are supposed to be helping them, health practitioners trained like the gynecologists who are supposed to be checking them are not even there. So much as we are doing something when it comes to the healthcare system, which areas still are there loopholes, and what can we do as a county government? And again, when you look to the different policies that we have as a country, especially when it comes to employment of these health workers, because clearly, as it stands, there are very few. And given by the ratio, clearly a lot needs to be done. So which areas do we really need to be putting our energies and muscles to when it comes to the healthcare system? I think that's the question that we need to be asking ourselves, even just as Kenyans.
Jane, what's your take? To remedy this situation when it comes to, we had access to universal health care being one of the main, actually under the Big Four agenda. The set timelines were 2022. We're already in 2022, and a majority of Kenyans still cannot access healthcare services. What is your take?
And actually, it's one of the DP's, one of his campaign items to progress with some of the Big Four agenda, and health is among one of them. And let me just take you back to a report that was in the papers last week. And, as you rightfully say, Regina, so many Kenyans cannot afford the basics. And that, according to that report, 53% of Kenyans are living below the international poverty line, and that for Kenya has been put at $3. That's about 360 Kenya shillings. It was about $3.36 translated to Kenya shillings. It was 360 Kenya shillings, but they went further to define the poverty line as not just having that or lacking that financial muscle, but it boils down to meals, how many meals you can afford in a day, if your children can afford to go to school, if you can afford health care, and that is a decent health care. It boiled down to those other aspects of life. And it goes back to just looking at this particular situation, poverty in line with the state of our country in terms of access to some of these services, but we also have to acknowledge the fact that we have made progress as a country. But on the other side, looking at the progress that we have made as a country, it has been very structural. Looking at the grand projects in our country, we can acknowledge that we have seen that. But it will take a number of years before people can feel those benefits of those projects that the government has embarked on. And universal healthcare is one of those projects. So in as much as, we have seen more hospitals being built, we are seeing many hospitals, and especially within Nairobi County, we have seen the NMS ensure that they're trying to put as many hospitals available as possible. But before we get to a time where people will actually feel the ripple effects of these projects, it will take time, and that is also a direct effect on universal healthcare.
Victor, your take?
I think it's one of the most expensive things in the entire world. In fact, even remember the Obamacare? Even Americans...
Obamacare.
The Obamacare. Now we have got Babacare. Health is an expensive venture because they know without it you can't live. So if I say that I need to pull one part of your nail for you to survive, and I'm going to charge you 17,000 shillings just to pull it, you'll have to pay for that. But first of all, you have to pay 12,000 shillings down payment, first of all, before I start the procedure. So health matters, we can never gamble with it. In Kenya, we are slowly getting there, yes. The government has really struggled to make sure that everybody gets that affordable healthcare. Right now we have got Linda Mama, we have got NHIF, which the government says that should be affordable to all. The level of contribution has also been somehow made easy even for those people who are in formal kind of employment to make a monthly contribution. We've had this discussion with the NHIF boss here before, who said that this should be easy for all the families across board. But then the other side of it is that health is expensive. And this explains why, even in the villages, most women cannot get, the mother to maternal deaths are still, not so good, so to speak, because they're afraid they will go to the hospital and they'll not be given that chance to deliver. But then the government still says that, it's not affordable. And actually right now we have got an insurance. Most people can go to a hospital and get, get treated. It's still expensive, so to speak. But then, the government is trying, albeit slowly, but we hope at one point we'll hit that glass ceiling and crack it and say that we have made it as a nation. You can walk into a hospital with a card, get treated. and go back home.
We have attained universal health care.
Yeah, we've attained it.
Glorious
It's still cracking
days.
the government's heads, let me tell you. Yeah.
Where universal health coverage means that Kenyans have access to the health services that they need where they need them
at their convenience.
Yes, without financial hardship. That is what universal health coverage is about. On December 2021, the 21st, actually, the National Assembly approved the Senate amendment bills to the NHIF bill, which now, awaits presidential assent. We'll be looking at that and waiting to see the direction in which that particular legislation goes. And when it comes to interventions to just deal with this shortage of specialists, the Kenya KMPDU, yes, have now seen, or rather recommended, a review of the postgraduate training at the Ministry of Health to have the national government, through level 6 teaching and referral hospitals, train doctors as opposed to county governments, the shortage and such. And also we have seen, a shortage of some facilities, has seen some facilities embrace what we are terming as telemedicine. I don't know if you've experienced that, where you go online, you have that conversation, to address this shortage of specialists in case these particular healthcare facilities have more patients. So, let's say technology is coming to our aid. On a lighter note, and I'd want to direct this to Victor, talking about traditions and customs. No, it's very... I'm being biased here. So the question about to bury or cremate, the burning question for some. That's how the scribe has decided, or rather taken it up here. So while some people are slowly embracing cremation, while to many it's a no-go zone. So it comes down to matters of culture and how we view culture and, rites of passage. So I want to zero in on the Kuria traditions as captured in this particular article. So in the biblical story of Job, we are told that he cried to God, saying, "Naked I came, naked I will return," during his years of suffering. So decades ago, among the Kuria, they buried their dead naked, the way they came. And it was also a taboo during this time for the women to be seen around the grave when it was being dug. Interesting fact that I did not know is that a man in the Kuria customs would be buried while lying on his right, while a woman would be buried lying on her left. So according to the Kuria Council of Elders chairman, he explains that a man and his wife would be buried facing each other in separate graves outside their house. Just like a man and his wife sleeps on the bed, the man being on the outer part of the bed, so they are buried when they die. However, for a boy who had bled to death after circumcision, they would be buried far away from the home to drive away bad spirits. And if you were poor, your grave would not be smeared with cow dung. So the graves that were smeared with cow dung are for the wealthy. And if you're an old man and you passed on, according to the Kuria custom, your relatives will bring home cows, or rather cattle, and collect enough cow dung to smear your grave. How about that? That's
I have a question.
Piece of history.
What parameter do they use to measure the level of poverty in someone?
Do you have? Actually, it is here.
Because the reason why I'm asking that, Regina, is you might be poor in one way, but you are so rich in another way.
My friend,
tangible and intangible wealth.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Because you might be poor. People usually talk of what Jenna said, tangible things, money, you have cars, you have got apartments, you have got, your kids are doing pretty well, you have got chunks and huge lands, out there, you are doing good farming. People will say that you're rich, but spiritually you're not.
But of course, that's not what they're talking about.
Okay.
In this culture and tradition, it is very clear. Let me read it out. Cow dung would be applied on top of the grave to prevent bad odor from the body. This was a privilege of a rich man, as a man who did not own cattle would not have his grave smeared, as he would be considered lazy.
Yeah.
So cattle was a
So do
sign
you have
of
cattle?
wealth.
It is as simple as that. Uko na ng'ombe.
So that was the sign of wealth.
Okay. But I think that's obvious when you talk about culture. Even in some places, even up till now, your wealth is measured by the kind of cattle, mbuzi, kondoo that you have, not just necessarily money. Even up till now, in some cultures, it's still a thing.
Yeah.
What do you know about your culture when it comes to, burial procedure? For one, I know that if one was a thief, they would call the council of elders, pass judgment, get an empty beehive, put you inside it. But before they put you inside, they wrap you with the banana leaves, yes, then throw you inside a beehive, then roll you down a hill.
This is post-mortem.
Huh? No. That's how they kill you and bury you. No one will bury you.
When you're alive?
Yes.
This is if you're what? A thief.
A thief.
Does this happen right now?
I'm saying culture.
Okay.
Back then. So they roll you down a hill wrapped in bananas in a beehive. So the bees will attack you. The momentum down the hill. You'll arrive dead. And we'll consider that a done deal. No one will come and bury you. Your body will be left for the wild animals.
Painful
That's inhuman. The first sting.
Hey.
The first sting.
Alafu uko allergic to bee venom.
That is listed on 1,000 ways to die.
At that point you wish. At that point you wish you never stole. But here you are.
I don't know, Jane.
Yeah. I don't have a horror story to tell. I do not have any cultural ways to go.
I think we've had this discussion sometimes back last year, and issues to do with culture
and
are a bit sensitive. And burials, it depends. Like for example, like that one talking about if you're a thief, you're caught, there's a particular way you're supposed to be treated. Different circumstances call for different actions. For example, in the Luo nation, in the Luo land, ziko mingi.
Sema moja.
Like which one now? Ziko mob.
Can I say it for you?
Ziko tu mingi.
Acha, let the new daughter of Luo land.
No, I'm saying because the way Vic is saying, actually we did have this conversation some time back, and just Luo and Luya to some extent, sort of like their cultures are kind of similar. And at this point, at that time, you're talking about how the way, if you are living together with that lady and she happens to die, hata kama mko na watoto wangapi, you as the man, you will not be given the rights to bury this person whether your parents knew them or not, just because you didn't pay their dowry.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the things we talked about when it comes to those burial. Peleka ngombe kwanza. That's when you'll be able to bury this. And you've seen others actually, they had to pay that dowry. Mtu amekufa ukailipa kwanza, ulipia mtu mwenye amekufa ndo sasa ukapatiwa umzike huyo mdada. So those are some things that happen.
That is yes. But the issue of cremation, kwetu is a no-no.
It's a no-no.
Even from UK.
And that's when, if you can remember the story of Ken Okoth, that the MP one, what was it?
It brought a lot of some issues.
Yeah, there was a lot of controversy surrounding his death at that point, because he has said he wanted to be cremated, but according to custom, there needs to be burial.
Well, that is that in regards to culture. We always say to each their own. To each their own. But for now, let us bring to a close this particular segment. This has been In the Headlines. Do stay with us. We have so much more lined up for you here on Good Morning Kenya.
Nani huyo?
Mungelikuwa mmenisikiza toka wale asingefikia hapa.
I'm asking you, what are you doing outside? Do you know the break time was over 10 minutes ago?
Kate hayupo hai. Sio imetosha? Wewe umemuua wewe.
Tawe niambie, nini yongangania mali ya watu? Si hawapi tu mali yao.
Ninachokitafuta hapa ni personal. Na sihitaji mlinzi.
Did you kiss my friend An Qinghuan?
Yeah.
Don't you dare tell me that you two are only friends, huh?
I've already survived death. I'm not afraid. And you?
She said she'll be at this hotel at midnight, and that I should surprise her.
I'm not the jealous type. You don't love him. You were just satisfying your ego by helping him. But you'll only make him want to depend on you even more. You're not helping him at all. What he needs right now is to suffer and learn to be independent.
有一段故事建筑一座城堡，会放进去后就不再。
Dos divididos por una sombra de traición.
You can go and do whatever you want.
Well, if that's the case, I quit.
You're not
I made
threatening
it, Dad. I've had it.
I need to go back to Pueblo to fulfill my grandfather's lifelong dream. I'm going to build his clinic.
It is part of his plan to have Santiago marry the poor soul Renata, who, by the way, is so rich that she's rotting in money. If you can't defeat that enemy, join her.
Because the red money is missing and the boss is going to be furious.
What do you mean the money's missing? I'm here because I'm going to Pueblo with you.
I'm not worse than Saint Lucia. She had her own skeletons in her closet. That's why she ended up murdered.
Lying heart.
Fue sembrando el veneno y la ambición.
Minutes plus 8 a.m. Welcome back to the program. This is still Good Morning Kenya. Time for us to quickly look at how the roads are looking like, and this is State House Road. We shall also look at how Nyerere is looking like given that particular closure. You can remember that also some sections of Uhuru Highway sometime late last year had been closed just for the same purpose of the expressway. And part of what is also coming in is that at least by mid this year, the expressway is supposed to be complete and open to the public. Clearly taking shape very well, beginning from areas of Mlolongo in along Mombasa Road, cutting through some sections of Uhuru Highway, areas along Wayaki Way, up until James Gishuru of that particular stretch. So that is how the expressway is looking like. And just as I mentioned, there have been closure, reopening, opening of some roads just for the purpose of that construction. And also part of what is bringing the closure along Nyerere, aside from the expressway, is also because of that overpass and underpass, which is still also taking shape along Langata Road, one of those roads that is supposed to take a total period of 4 years, being constructed in 7 phases. What is still currently happening is the first phase of that particular construction, which includes mapping as well as just trying to see how the overpass and underpass will be looking like once the construction process begins altogether and also it's complete. So quickly on how the traffic flow is looking like, and we can begin from areas of State House Road there, one of those roads which are just set aside for private vehicles only. In fact, this is one of those routes whereby public vehicles don't get to use as you branch off from the university roundabout, and that's why oftentimes it serves as a very, very good alternative route for those living areas of Valley Road, also Langata Road, coming to the city center, and perhaps not want to make with the heavy kind of traffic on the stretch along Uhuru Highway. So this is one of those routes that is oftentimes used as a very good alternative route, and also for those living areas of Wayaki Way, going to either Ngong Road, Langata Road, areas around Valley Road as well, Kenyatta, past stretch of Mbagathi Way, and also again do not want to make with the heavy traffic on that stretch of Uhuru Highway, knowing fully well much as Nyerere is closed a bit. Also, some sections of Uhuru Highway still are a bit closed because of that expressway which is still against taking shape. So clearly this could serve as a very good alternative route for you if at all you're coming from those areas that I have just mentioned right now. But again, this is particular to those on either motorcycles or private vehicles only. For public vehicles, this is not quite the road to use, but again, for those specific road users, this could be a very good alternative route for you, because right now moving at a very swift pace, no traffic at all. That begins from as you leave the roundabout, that is the University Way roundabout throughout this entire roundabout. In fact, just where there's really traffic and heavy kind of traffic is particularly on that roundabout as you branch off through Kenyatta Avenue. Away from that, branching off to that Sleep Road, which is what we're looking at this morning, that is State House Road. On that particular section, no traffic at all, moving at a very swift pace. So again, just as I mentioned, if at all you're leaving your homes, intending to, or even you are actually on the roads, still that could serve as a very good alternative route for you as you leave areas of Agwix Kodek, leaving areas of Kenyatta Avenue, leaving areas of Valley Road as well, Dennis Street coming through State House on that particular section as well. Still no traffic, moving at a very slow pace, moving at a very fast pace. Actually on both lanes of this particular stretch this morning, there's really no traffic, just in some sections here and there where there's a bit of a gridlock, but altogether manageable kind of traffic, and that continues all the way past State House Road, coming to areas of Upper Hill as you leave that particular stretch. Again, remember that also in sections of Upper Hill there has been a lot of construction activities happening on that particular stretch. So this is how it is looking like this morning in terms of traffic along State House Road. Nothing really much in terms of heavy kind of traffic, but also we'll try to look at Nyerere Road and particularly also just give you an update of when it's supposed to be open, that section that has been closed to necessitate that construction of the expressway, which is again clearly taking shape along that particular stretch. But at 12 minutes past 8 a.m., that is how the roads are looking like this Monday morning.
A glimpse of the effects of climate change. Marilla River in Marsabit County serves more than half of the population here, but it's completely dried up. After a whole year of barely any rain, thousands of people on the north are facing severe hunger or starvation.
90% of the, or we can say even 99% of the water which are being used in sides of Songa, even in the areas like Padasa, are normally gotten from the forests. There are some catchment areas, some springs, which they normally collect those water and getting them.
Climate change experts are now calling this a climate change famine.
This area usually experiences a kind of perennial drought that normally hits so hard, and at the end of the day bring even conflicts among its community because of a scramble over grazing lands.
In this part of Marsabit County, there is nothing left to eat for residents. Nearly every day, they wake up to this. These animals are wasted away and dying from hunger and disease.
Kama una pesa huwezi kununua maji, hiyo ni shida. Kuosha nguo, sasa hakuna maji.
Joyce Dafaradai has lived here for years. Disturbed by the way the forest in her village has been depleted, she started tree nurseries using her own time and money to save the forest around her and make a difference.
Hatupati mvua, mambo ya climate change, mvua inasakosekana hata 3 years. Na shida tena kuenda forest, unakamatwa na watu ya Kenya Forest.
In 2006, she introduced a group of women into the practice.
Tukaona sio fema, sisi tuko na mikono, tuko na akili, tuko na ujuzi, tuko na maji, tuko na ardhi. Tukasema wacha sisi badala tunaenda kununua huko mbali, ambayo tunatumia hata transport kuenda kutafuta miche kwa mbali, wacha sisi tujianzilishe yetu. Niliweza kuchangisha pesa kila mama shilingi 20, tukanunua mishe 500 seedling. Tukaweza mimi nikapanda 50, nimejinunulia 50 nikapanda kwa plot yangu, na shule tukapandia pia.
The Faradai and her group would later voluntarily start helping the Kenya Forest Service take care of the Marsabit forest through rehabilitation by introducing indigenous trees.
This forest is a critical water catchment area for the Marsabit community, and its restoration brings hope to the already arid and drought-stricken area.
Apart from just doing farmer-managed natural regeneration within the forest, they also practice it back at home, and at the same time also doing tree planting. They have their own nurseries. They do free fruit tree planting, which of course contribute to nutrition to their families.
These women have become grassroots leaders in Marsabit County. They have come together to show not only how they have been affected by drought, but also what they are doing for long-term solution.
Sisi kama wamama tunaweza kujisaidia. Hatuwezi kukaa na umaskini. Tunajua venye tunaweza kujitafutia pesa.
This is Chorora Women Group, brought together by fate. With worsening drought, competition for water and grazing is growing, stalking rivalry and theft among herders. Women and their children who are left to mind some of the animals at home also find themselves vulnerable to livestock raids and left without an income when they happen. But an unusual kind of income generation is helping the situation: beekeeping. Since 2017, these women have managed beehives as a new way of earning a living.
Tukiwa na hii beehives, tukiwa na msinga yetu, nyuki huwa tunavunanga wakati ya drought tu mara nyingi. Sio wakati ya rainy season. Na hii wakati drought tukivuna hii asali, huwa inatusaidia sana. Kwa sababu hii mapato tunapata yenyewe inatusaidia.
Through their various groups, Marsabit women are changing the story of their communities. As the drought bites, they have adequate food for their families. They keep working tirelessly for better environment and overall health for all.
Now they say if you want something done, then ask a woman. These women have done more than they have been asked. In a campaign led by the Kenya Forest Service and the World Vision Kenya, these women that are now planting trees in this region have taken advantage of the campaign and now keeping bees, a practice that has changed their lives in an area where drought is affecting communities here. Purity Museo, KBC in Marsabit County.
A glimpse of the effects of climate change. Marila River in Marsabit County serves more than half of the population here, but it's completely dried up. After a whole year of barely any rain, thousands of people on the north are facing severe hunger or starvation.
90% of the, or we can say even 99% of the water which are being used in sides of Songa, even in the areas like Padasa, are normally gotten from the forests. There are some catchment areas, some springs, which they can normally collect those water and getting them.
Climate change experts are now calling this a climate change famine.
This area usually experiences a kind of perennial drought that normally hits so hard, and at the end of the day bring even conflicts among its community because of a scramble over grazing lands.
In this part of Marsabit County, there is nothing left to eat for residents. Nearly every day, they wake up to this. These animals are wasted away and dying from hunger and disease.
Kama una pesa uwezi kununua maji, hiyo ni shida. Kuosha nguo, sasa hakuna maji.
Joyce Dafaradai has lived here for years. Disturbed by the way the forest in her village has been depleted, she started tree nurseries using her own time and money to save the forest around her and make a difference.
Hatupati mvua, mambo ya climate change, mvua inasakosekana hata 3 years. Na shida tena kuenda forest unakamatwa na watu ya Kenya Forest.
In 2006, she introduced a group of women into the practice.
Tukaona sio vema, sisi tuko na mikono, tuko na akili, tuko na ujuzi, tuko na maji, tuko na ardhi. Tukasema wacha sisi badala tunaenda kununua huko mbali, ambayo tunatumia hata transport kuenda kutafuta miche kwa mbali, wacha sisi tujianzilishe yetu. Niliweza kuchangisha pesa kila mama shilingi 20, tukanunua miche 500 seedling. Tukaweza mimi nikapanda 50, nimejinunulia 50 nikapanda kwa plot yangu, na shule tukapandia pia.
The Faradai and her group would later voluntarily start helping the Kenya Forest Service take care of the Marsabit forest through rehabilitation by introducing indigenous trees.
This forest is a critical water catchment area for the Marsabit community, and its restoration brings hope to the already arid and drought-stricken area.
Apart from just doing farmer-managed natural regeneration within the forest, they also practice it back at home, and at the same time also doing tree planting. They have their own nurseries. They do fruit tree planting, which of course contribute to nutrition to their families.
These women have become grassroots leaders in Marsabit County. They have come together to show not only how they have been affected by drought, but also what they are doing for long-term solution.
Sisi kama wamama tunaweza kujisaidia. Hatuwezi kukaa na umaskini, tunajua venye tunaweza kujitafutia pesa.
This is Chorora Women Group, brought together by fate with worsening drought, competition for water and grazing is growing, stoking rivalry and theft among herders. Women and their children who are left to mind some of the animals at home also find themselves vulnerable to livestock raids and left without an income when they happen. But an unusual kind of income generation is helping the situation: beekeeping. Since 2017, these women have managed beehives as a new way of earning a living.
Tukiwa na hii beehives, tukiwa na msinga yetu, nyuki huwa tunavunanga wakati ya drought tu mara nyingi. Sio wakati ya rainy season. Na hii wakati ya drought tukivuna hii asali, huwa inatusaidia sana. Kwa sababu hii mapato tunapata yenyewe inatusaidia.
Through their various groups, Marsabit women are changing the story of their communities. As the drought bites, they have adequate food for their families. They keep working tirelessly for better environment and overall health for all.
Now they say if you want something done, then ask a woman. These women have done more than they have been asked. In a campaign led by the Kenya Forest Service and the World Vision Kenya, these women that are now planting trees in this region have taken advantage of the campaign and now keeping bees, a practice that has changed their lives in an area where drought is affecting communities here. Purity Museo, KBC in Marsabit County.
All right, welcome back. And right now we are focusing, it's 24 minutes past 8 a.m. And on Politics today, I'm privileged to have the Party Secretary General of Amani National Congress, that is Simon Gekuru, who is in studio to help us dissect issues. And by the way, there was no memo. My tie and his tie are more or less the same. So there's no memo. There was no memo. It's just telepathy.
Yes.
All right. Karibu sana.
Thank you very much, brother.
Yes. We've not met this year. Is it still safe to say Happy New Year? It's 17th.
Very safe. Very, very safe. Happy New Year.
Yes.
And you are talking of the tie. You should also have talked of the shirt because they are more.
Oh,
less,
yes. The only thing that is now quite different is the suit.
Yes.
The suit, of course, I come from that side of Kenya.
Yes.
So you know. All right.
Good morning, viewers.
Good morning. Welcome. So, a lot is happening in politics. First of all, voter registration starts today. Yes. Another round of voter registration starts today. And IEB says that they target 4.5 million Kenyans. From the Amani National Congress as a party, what is your focus in terms of making sure that the strongholds and even Kenyans in general are registered as voters?
Yeah, to start with, you realize that the last time we had mass voter registration,
yes,
there were a lot of challenges in terms of apathy and young people, especially young people not coming out. So what we're doing is we are using our members of parliament, we're using our aspirants to make sure that we persuade young people.
Yeah.
But even of importance, we make them understand what it means to be a registered voter.
Yes.
Because it's not just about you. It's also about your constitutional duties. It's about your future. It's about the future of those who will come after you.
Yeah.
So of emphasis is that the moment you don't participate, then you give room for others to choose for you your leaders. And therefore then you cede your rights such that you'll not complain in future that we don't have good leadership, we don't have good government, because you ceded your rights. And it has been said that bad leaders are elected by good people who fail to come out and participate.
Exactly.
So we are making this message very clear, and we have a roadmap, we have a plan to make sure that through our aspirants, who are very many actually, through our members of parliament, through our MCAs, we talk to our people, we talk to young people, especially where, as you said, our party is very strong in Western.
Yes.
And so we are hoping that it will be different this time. Yes.
All right. A lot happened over the weekend, part of last week until part of the weekend. Perhaps we just listen to what your party boss said yesterday when he was in Kisii region yesterday. Perhaps you can just get that one, Director?
Amani National Congress stalwarts have been categorical that even in One Kenya Alliance, the preferred presidential candidate ought to be their party leader, Musalia Mudavadi.
Sisi tunaomba, the only formula that we shall accept in One Kenya Alliance ni kama Musalia atapeperusha bendera ya One Kenya Alliance.
His absence at the recent Oka engagement raised eyebrows, but he said he was engaged in preparation for ANC National Delegates Conference slated for 23rd January.
Don't you think you're beating a dead horse here, in the sense that they had already made these declarations? All right? So I hope that now answers the issue, that there was any boycott or anything. I was busy and I told my colleagues as such.
Without hinting at his next move, Mudavadi stated that his announcement at the NDC is bound to upset the political landscape.
Tafute namna haraka muende kwa runinga, kwa sababu siku hiyo tutakuwa na msisimuko wa ardhi kwa mambo ya kisiasa kwa taifa la Kenya.
Speaking in Nyamira, Mudavadi however dismissed claims of joining anyone ahead of the forthcoming general election.
Sitaki kutoa siri zote sahihi, kwa sababu nitakuwa nimetoa utamu na ladha kwa siku hiyo, na tutakuwa na mambo ambayo uamuzi wetu kama ANC kulingana na siasa yetu na siasa ya kitaifa tutakuwa tukizungumza pale.
Leaders accompanying him, led by Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja, say the country will benefit more from his presidency.
KBC wamezindua program ya mwisho ya kujisajili kama wapigaji kura. Tafadhali chukueni kura, kwa sababu kura yenu ndio itabadilisha maisha yenu. Sio kelele, sio kwenda kwa marallies na huna kura kwa mfuko. So tafadhali, sasa ile mass registration drive inaanza, na inaanza wiki ambayo inakuja. Tafadhali muende mujisajili
Okay, so you've heard what that is Senator Sakaja and ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi have said. But before we get into the gist of the story, let's just take a very quick break and we'll be right back with more.
Log on to the KBC website at www.kbc.co.ke to get the latest breaking news, entertainment, sports, politics, lifestyle or business trends from Kenya and around the world. Never miss new episodes from your favorite TV shows, reruns and movies. Just stream online or watch live on your YouTube channel at KBC Channel 1 TV shows. For the day's biggest stories, trustworthy news and family entertainment, log on to KBC Channel 1. Watch what you want anytime, anywhere.
Welcome back. So let's just pick it from where we left, from that clip where Musalia Mudavadi, the ANC party leader, said that on 23rd, that's coming Sunday,
indeed,
we expect some pronouncement that will shake the political landscape. What is that pronouncement?
Very interesting. You see, for the longest, people have been speculating and wanting to twist my party leader or even our party structures to move either this way or that way in the political divide. There has also been this nonsensical talk that this is a two-horse race. But we want to make it very clear. There's nothing like that. There's nothing like a two-horse race. This is a democracy. This is a popular democracy for that matter. And people should expect that there will be more than the two, and probably even 4 or 5. So when the people in the media, you and others, want to drive a certain, and I don't want to accuse KBC for that. I think you've been very moderate. You've been quite balanced.
Thank you.
But we've seen certain media houses working for certain presidential candidates and trying to make it look like a two-horse race. So come 23rd, when we are going to have our NDC, my party leader has said it. Personally, I have said it earlier, and before I have said, we are going to make very, very serious, shaking pronunciations. And of course, you don't expect me to say them here on national TV.
Perhaps you can give us a hint, because the reason why I'm asking you can give us a hint is that your party leader has been quite, reserved in terms of making these pronouncements, and because even in the newspapers, there is that case of mistrust amongst the One Kenya Alliance principles. Perhaps I can say that all of them are, eyeing for that particular seat, and no one is ready to settle for anything less than that. So what is this pronouncement that you should expect from your boss?
I can tell you the following.
One,
let people know they cannot choose friends for us. And your friend is not necessary, my friend.
I can connect with what you're saying.
And your enemies are not necessarily our enemies. And this has to be very clear. So our message is, my party leader and my party structures will work with anybody and everybody who has a vision to make Kenya better. Because Musalia Mudavadi is of the view that we need to reconstruct our economy. We need to resuscitate our economy.
Yes.
We need to rebuild government trust from the people. We need to make people feel that government cares for them. If there is anybody in this republic who shares in those views and dreams, it doesn't matter whether it's your friend or your enemy. For us, if they share in our dreams, we will work with them.
That statement sounds familiar to me.
How so?
Because a few weeks ago, Honorable Cleophilus Malala, Senator of Kakamega, said the same statement. Was it last week but one when he was in Gishu? He said the same statement, and he said that he was in Gishu under the blessings of his party leader. A day later, Honorable Musalia Mudavadi also said that, you know, we are free to have friends. Yesterday, but one, he also said after the meeting in Naivasha, of which you'll tell us the details, he said that he's left his door open. So who are the friends you are talking about?
You see, I think now we are getting so much into it.
Exactly.
I told you that everybody in Kenya should wait for us on 23rd. Our NDC preparations are coming out very well. I actually co-chair the NDC committee with Senator Petronila Were. We have invited friends. We expect a huge number of delegates. And for us, that will be a defining moment for the political landscape in Kenya. And in particular to debunk this nonsensical talk of a two-horse race. Because it's obviously a creation of the media. And we want to tell people in the political market that for those who have been sitting there and thinking that my party and my party leader are just there to be twisted this way or that way, are just there to be told what to do, kindly forget. Musalia Mudavadi is a presidential material. Okay? And so he's conducted himself in a presidential manner. He does his things in a presidential manner. And we are very committed to make sure he becomes the next president of Kenya. And 23rd of this month will be the most defining moment in the history of our politics at this moment.
Is he planning to work with the UDA?
Well, I cannot say yes, I cannot say no. I have just told you that we are, and I'm going to quote my party leader, we are ready and willing to welcome anybody and everybody who shares in the dreams of making sure that we have a working economy, we have a government that people can trust, we have opportunities for our young people. Young people are paid properly, because we don't want to see young people being underpaid, underemployed, and being misused, and not getting proper pay for their sweat.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that we bring back the dignity of our young people, the dignity of the Kenyan people. Part of the biggest failure and one of the biggest laws for this government, the Jubilee government, has been to abandon young people. And we've said it over and over. People feel it deep down in their bones when they have a government that doesn't care about them. And I think this one government really does not care about young people. We cannot have our young people who work, and a simple issue of regulation, for example, because you don't even need to put in money to regulate minimum wage. We have Chinese contractors in this country who come here and they want to pay our young people the way they want, exploiting them. And we are saying it's just a matter of regulation. It's a matter of implementation of the law. All these huge highways you see here and skyscrapers are built by the sweat and blood of our young people. And what do they have to show for it? When the Chinese contractor will ship billions abroad, what is he leaving for Onyango or Kamau or Wekesa, who has been working in that construction site, who has been doing, operating that machine? Nothing to show. So we are saying we just need to make sure that we dignify young people. even local employers, for example, say contractors locally or even businessmen, do we even care how they pay our young people? These young people here operating cameras and operating the machines, do we even care? And it's not. And why would someone make so much as a businessman?
Yeah.
And not have some care, some slice of the profit for the worker.
And that's what ANC stands to change.
That is what we want to make sure changes.
Okay.
Where our young people flocking and flying to Dubai, to Qatar, and to work as house helps.
Were you in Naivasha last week, over the weekend, for the One Kenya Alliance meeting?
Are you asking about me as Secretary General or as the party? Personally, I was not there. Yes. My party leader was not there. Yes.
And he was expected there.
He was expected there.
Including you.
But we had sent representatives, very, very able representatives. The chairman of the One Kenya Technical Committee, Sami Karanja, a very, very respected legal mind, is seconded to that committee from ANC. And he was there chairing the committee. Party leader was represented by Godfrey Kanoti, who is a political affairs advisor to the party leader. So the party was represented.
The party was represented, but then the presence of the party leader sends a very clear message. So when you talk of a representation, who you are telling me right now, I didn't know that the ANC was representing that meeting. People are reading something in between the lines. And from that story, your boss says, the NC party leader says that it's like beating a dead horse, and people have made, have drawn their lines. Everybody's eyeing for that particular seat. Are we right to say that he was not there deliberately because everybody has now taken sides, including him?
Well, those are your words. Those are not my words. But I have said it over and over. I'm not the spokesperson for One Kenya Alliance. My space is within the ANC party.
Yes.
I am the spokesperson of the ANC party. And I can tell you, as a party, it's not Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi's individual decision to decide whether he's running or whether he's supporting another person. Our position is in reference to Oka. When you look at all the matrix, when you look at the numerical calculations, when you look at the capacity to raise resources for a campaign, I can tell you, in Oka, the only person who beats all of them is Musalia Mudavadi. And so we are saying, if Oka is to survive, the only way Oka can survive is to make sure that the flag bearer is Musalia Mudavadi. And I have told you the reasons: numerical calculations, capacity to raise resources, acceptability across the nation. None of those principles, of course, they have very impressive CVs. All of them, you cannot ignore them. They have very impressive CVs. But none of their CVs beats the CV for my party leader. So if Oka is to go anywhere, the only way is to make sure that my party leader, Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi, is the flag bearer for Oka.
Can we say that Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is playing hard to get?
Well, now those are the that's an interesting statement, because we used to use such kind of statements when we were in the university trying to chase after young girls. Really, this is a serious political contest.
But politicians have also said that politics is like luring a young girl. You chase after her and make all the moves.
I'm not sure about that. We are discussing about very serious things here.
Yes,
we are discussing about the future of our nation. We are discussing about the future of my son and your son and my daughter. And so we cannot, of course you can dramatize it, but I can tell you that if Oka is to go anywhere, they don't have any other choice except making sure the flag bearer is Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi. And as a party, we have told them as much. Of course we are negotiating, but it reaches a point when now you have to come out and just tell your friends, hey, look here, let us not waste our time. And that's the feeling within the party. Yes.
That's the feeling within the party. And the case of mistrust, perhaps when you sit at that board meeting, what really runs in the head of Honorable Musalia Mudavadi?
Again, that's quite a very hard question for me to answer, because obviously I wouldn't know, but I can tell you that from our discussion as a party, we feel that Oka has potential, and our party has been very committed to make sure that Oka becomes an alliance that can form the next government. And while I can speak for my party leader and say he has been very committed to make sure that Oka becomes something better, Oka becomes something bigger, Oka becomes an alliance to form government. I cannot speak for the rest, but I can assure you, my leader is a kind of a person who means what he talks, who walks the talks, and who will never ever have any hidden cards. As for the others, I don't know.
What is the bone of contention? Because we've been waiting for them to name the flag bearer and the order of hierarchy since sometimes last year, and it's been pushed again to a later date. And he's also said that come 23rd, we should expect, a major pronouncement. What's the bone of contention amongst the Oka principles?
You see, coalition building and negotiations for a political alliance is not a walk into the park.
It's not.
You can be sure that it's tougher than the dowry negotiations. You have to look at so many things. But what we are telling our partners in Oka is that if you want a candidate acceptable across the board, if you want a candidate whose track record is so impressive to earn us a winning majority in terms of votes, if you want a candidate who has capacity to fundraise in terms of resources for the campaign, it's Musalia Mudavadi within Oka. And we have told them, if you want Oka to survive, we can discuss about these other things in terms of hierarchy, who gets what and all that, who gets what portion in government and all that. But for the Oka ticket to come out and as a force, and probably that is even why the media has been having the chance to ridicule and say it's a two-horse race. For the Oka ticket to make any political meaning, the option that is there is to give that ticket to Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi.
Yes.
No other option. And that's the stand for our party. And that's the feeling within our party. And we have to look them into the eyes and tell them, hey, let's not waste each other's time. People have been making fun of us that we just go to hotels, we sit, take tea and mandazi and all that. Obviously, that is not the case. But it can be the feeling among the people. Because also people get tired when you keep people so long. People burn out, energy,
Because that is quite dangerous when, perhaps that is the reason why politicians have now drawn that line and say it's not a two-horse race. We are just months away to election and counting. And you can imagine the excitement amongst Kenyans whenever you travel across the country. We have got Honorable Raila Odinga, who's hit the ground running. We have got Deputy President William Ruto, who is crisscrossing the country. We are not seeing that from One Kenya Alliance, and they're saying that's now a two-horse race. How will you convince the voters that it's a two-horse race, yet other players in the presidential election are not actively involved in mobilization, in the campaigns, as we see amongst other, in other candidates?
The first thing you should know is that we are very, very disciplined people. And we are following the IEBC calendar.
But
and IEBC has not yet announced campaign, opened up the campaign period. As we speak right now, what is on the IEBC calendar is mass voter registration. And again, if you look at the two camps that you've just mentioned, what do you see?
Perhaps
you just see the hand of government. You just see the hand of government. These are people who are both in government. Azimio,
an allegation.
Azimio is being funded from Harambee House, and we know that.
Okay, well, we cannot.
DP is holding meetings at Karen, which is a government installation. So he's enjoying government resources.
Perhaps that is.
Whenever you go to Karen, you are served tea, you are served mandazi and kaimati, which is from government coffers.
What stops ANC from holding the same?
First and foremost, as much as we have our resources for campaigns, we don't have as much resources. We are not enjoying incumbency. And again, even if we are very disciplined people. Mheshimiwa Musalia Mudavadi would never do anything like that. The moment we make him president, he will observe the law, he will observe IBC timelines, because he is a stickler when it comes to discipline and the rule of law. So, what we are saying is, all those people who are running up and down, they're running up and down because they are both using government resources, which you don't have the benefit of accessing. And so you cannot compare us to them. Surely, you cannot do that. And historically, in the history of democracy, we've never seen a regime that will perpetuate itself into the next regime. So whatever they are trying to do is bound to fail by all means.
Bound to fail.
And especially for Azimio, because Azimio is a project. Azimio is a project, and we know Kenyans don't like projects. And President Uhuru Kenyatta, and I have a lot of respect for President Uhuru Kenyatta. I have a lot of admiration for him. But as a young man, I feel extremely let down. How do you want to force Kenyans in terms of their democratic space? You've done your 10 years. You've done your achievements. Obviously, there are spaces whereby you didn't do as much because you can never get it right throughout. But hey, don't tell Kenyans what to do. Don't get into their space. Don't choose leaders for Kenyans.
Let me. You've made a very interesting statement. So, what if President Kenyatta said that it's Musalia Mudavadi? Would you have said the same statement?
It's not for him to choose. It's for Kenyans to choose.
Democratically, he's also, allowed to make his preferred choice.
He has one vote.
Exactly.
And
which counts.
If I were him, I would do what President Kibaki did. Sit back, let the ground play fairly. Don't interfere.
So the question is, if he picked Honorable Musalia Mudavadi, would you have said the same statement as the SG?
If he would choose him as an individual, that's fine. But you see, if he came on a platform and said, I want so and so, it wouldn't even probably work for us.
You have an NDC coming up on 23rd.
Yeah, correct.
What should you expect from that NDC?
As I told you, we are going to make very, very serious pronunciations.
Right.
Pronunciations that will shift the political matrix. Pronunciations that will change the whole narrative.
Yes.
We want to debunk this nonsense of a two-horse race. So let us wait for 23rd.
So Honorable Musalia Mudavadi is in the ballot?
Oh, of course, yes, by all means. Oh.
Probable running mate? Are we expecting that?
Let us wait for 23rd.
Come on. SG.
You see, if I told you on national TV what to expect, I'm going to spoil the whole taste. We want people to be eager. I want you to focus and send all your cameras there and wait for us. I want you to focus on party leader that day, and you hear nothing else until he gives the pronunciation.
It's a special NDC, or we are having delegates from across the country?
Well, legally, it's a special NDC, but still, special or not, you have to get delegates from across the nation.
Yes.
From all the 47 counties.
Yeah. So are we expecting Musalia Mudavadi to declare his candidature on that day?
Well, okay, what will happen, just maybe if I can say this.
Yes.
The Amani Council, which is one of the highest organs of the party, has already endorsed him to run. So what the NDC is going to do is to ratify that decision by the Amani Council, to ratify the decision of the Amani Council that His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi is going to be the candidate, the presidential candidate for the party.
Yes.
But also, it's important that Kenyans also note, at the same time, the Amani Council has mandated him to enter into negotiations
with other parties,
with other like-minded party for a coalition building. So again, the NDC will ratify that decision on Sunday. But of course, now there will be the moving, the shaking pronunciation that I cannot tell you here.
We are really waiting to hear, and I promise to invite you next time so that you can give us the gist of what happened there.
I'm more than glad to come.
Exactly. Who are some of the notable figures politically who have been invited to that NDC?
No. An NDC is a strictly legal meeting. So we have our delegates, legal delegates, paid up and registered, whose register is already deposited with the ORPP. But of course, we have invited guests. We've invited our friends in Oka. We've invited other guests. So let us wait and see,
From Oka only?
Well, we've invited friends across the nation, and actually even outside Kenya. We've invited friends from within and outside Kenya.
Include the Deputy President?
Come on. That one I cannot say yes or no. I mean, I have not seen an invitation for the Deputy President.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are having countdown to an election, and moving forward, it's going to be tougher and more aggressive.
Indeed.
What should we expect from Amani National Congress as a party?
You should expect to see a very, very aggressive approach in terms of our campaign. We are fielding candidates across the nation.
Yes.
We are fielding candidates for gubernatorial positions in the 47 counties. Same for senatorial, same for women rep, and of course for the members of parliament and MCAs. So people should expect to see a very serious movement, a more aggressive ANC, a more a more active ANC. People should expect to see a whole new excited party. Yes.
And there is this issue of nominations. How are you going to handle it? Because we have got consensus, we have got handpicking, and what have you. How are you going to handle nominations? Because it's one of the most crazy moments in a political cycle.
Of course. You see, when it comes to nominations, our constitution, as you've mentioned, gives us several options.
Yes.
We can do direct nominations. We can do consensus. We can do hand-picking. We can do competitive secret ballot. So I think what's important for our aspirants is to note that we will make sure our nominations are free and fair. That's the most important for them. And of course, we are going to use all those methods as stipulated in our constitution. But the most critical thing is to tell people and our aspirants and our supporters our nominations will be free and fair. And by the way, it's not a must that nominations must be competitive, secret ballot. No. We want to have an approach that will make our candidates and aspirants feel they have not used as much energy for the nominations, because we want them to have enough energy, enough synergy for the main IEBC election. So we'll try and make sure that we make it as comfortable for them as possible, but free and fair.
Okay. And finally, Bwana SG, do you, as ANC, do you support pre or post-election pacts, coalition pacts?
Of course we do. We are expecting that by the time we are getting into August, the law as it stands talks of 3 months. We'll have deposited something with the ORPP. We are also open maybe after that is post. We could also get into something. And again, I may not discuss much, because you will also hear something about that when it comes to the pronunciations I told you about on 23rd.
I hope it will be an earth-moving pronouncement, as you correctly put it.
It should be. It will.
It will.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much. We've been speaking to the Secretary General of Amani National Congress, that is Simon Gekuru. On 23rd, they'll have the NDC. That's coming Sunday.
Coming Sunday. Yes.
Coming a Sunday.
At the Bomas of Kenya.
Bomas of Kenya. You have to get it right. So if you are a delegate, you'll be invited. The venue is Bomas of Kenya. And later on, just promise me on national television that you'll be back here.
Of course. I mean, anytime you call us, we will come. We love to use your platform to talk to Kenyans.
Yes.
So be sure we'll come.
Please send greetings to your party leader.
Indeed.
Mwambie Mr. Mwami that we are watching.
Asante sana. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so we're taking a break, and we'll come back. We are not done yet. A lot is coming more after this break.
All right, time for us to quickly look at how the roads are looking like. Actually, our last traffic link this Monday morning, we're still focusing on what has been happening along State House Road, and also try to briefly look at Nyerere, given the fact that we understand there's obviously a closure on that particular stretch, and that is to necessitate that construction of the expressway. Actually, over time, since that particular construction began, there has been closure, opening, reopening of most of these roads where, or even slip roads where the expressway gets to cut through, and this is just a recent one being closed. Again, also some sections of Uhuru Highway are a bit closed because of that construction of the expressway, which actually by mid this year is supposed to be complete in terms of construction and opened up to the public. One of those roads being looked at as one of those roads that are expected to shape how Nairobi County looks like, and how also the East Africa will be looking like. So this is how State House Road is looking like this morning, just the same as how it was earlier on. Barely any kind of heavy traffic, and just as I mentioned to you earlier, it's one actually of those roads that is normally used or just used by private vehicles as well as motorcycles. No public transport on this particular stretch, and this is why oftentimes it serves as a very good alternative route for those living areas of Waiyaki Way, perhaps going to sections or areas along Gong Road, Kubilangata Road, Mbagathi Way, Valley Road, Kenyatta, and perhaps do not want to make do with a heavy kind of traffic along Uhuru Highway. So this is how the stretch is looking like as you leave areas of Waiyaki as well as the University roundabout, and also leaving that particular stretch coming through all the way this entire section. This is still how it is looking like, moving at a very, very swift pace on that particular side. So it's still, this could serve as a very good alternative route if at all you're coming from those areas, or if you are actually along the roads and perhaps you're going to areas either along State House or even near road. Nothing really to say in terms of heavy kind of traffic, moving at a very, very swift pace on this particular stretch. Again, on areas also along Milimani Road, one of those minor roads that get to branch off from the major University Way roundabout as you head over to areas around Valley Road as well. Still not bad at all, moving at a very, very swift pace there on that section. Coming to CBD, still not bad at all. Areas along Nyerere, which actually have been closed, this is how it's looking like. Heavy kind of traffic, moving at a very, very slow pace just as you leave the roundabout there. That continues up until just before you get to Mamlaka Road. Again, one of those minor roads there as you leave sections of Valley Road as well. Still not that bad on that particular section, and up until the University Way roundabout, one of those busy roundabouts, simply because it gets to branch off to major, minor as well as slip roads. This is how the roundabout is looking like. Yes, traffic is there, but at least in some sections moving at a very swift pace. Just in some areas here and there as you leave areas around Globe is where there's really heavy kind of traffic, but altogether manageable kind of traffic around the University Way roundabout. That is how it is looking like at exactly 1 minute past 9 a.m. on your traffic this Monday morning. Time for us to take a very quick break. Very quick break. We come back with more of Good Morning Kenya.
Mungelikuwa umenisikiza toka awali asingefikia hapa.
I'm asking you, what are you doing outside? Do you know the break time was over 10 minutes ago?
Kate hayupo hai. Sio imetosha? Wewe umemua wewe.
Tawe niambie, nini yongangania mali ya watu? Si wapi tu mali yao.
Ninachokitafuta hapa ni personal. Na sihitaji mlinzi.
Did you kiss my friend An Ching Huan?
Yeah.
Don't you dare tell me that you two are only friends, huh?
I've already survived death. I'm not afraid. And you?
She said she'll be at this hotel at midnight, and that I should surprise her.
I'm not the jealous type. You don't love him. You were just satisfying your ego by helping him. But you'll only make him want to depend on you even more. You're not helping him at all. What he needs right now is to suffer and learn to be independent.
Mundos divididos por una sombra de traición.
You can go and do whatever you want. Well, if that's the case, I quit. You will not threaten me. Dad, I've had it.
I need to go back to Pueblo to fulfill my grandfather's lifelong dream. I'm going to build his clinic.
It is part of his plan to have Santiago marry the poor soul Renata, who, by the way, is so rich that she's rotting in money. If you can't defeat that enemy, join her.
Because the rent money is missing and the boss is going to be furious.
What do you mean the money's missing? I'm here because I'm going to Pueblo with you.
I'm not worse than Saint Lucia. She had her own skeletons in her closet. That's why she ended up murdered.
Lying heart.
ambición.
Welcome back. This is Good Morning Kenya, and from politics we come down to Family Check, and today we have a special guest in studio. My name is Stephanie Ayeta. You can talk to us using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya at KBC Channel 1. My personal handle is Stephanie Ayeta, that is on Twitter. So today we are talking about personality development. We want to understand the types of personalities we have so that we can know how to enhance our personalities. And who else to best assist us with this conversation other than a counselor? We have a counselor, a teacher, and a trainer. This is Zipporah Wanyeki. Karibu sana.
Asante sana, Stephanie.
Yeah, you have been to the show before,
yes,
right?
Yes.
So we're glad to have you again today.
I'm glad to have you too.
And we want you to assist us with this understanding about, to understand what personality is. So maybe you can start us off with telling us what is a personality.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. To begin with, I'll start by saying that you must have had this title, you must have had this name mentioned all over. I don't like your personality, exactly. You are too harsh, you're too what. So we want to demystify what personality is, and maybe what is personality development. And start by saying that personality is the overall quality that you possess.
Okay.
Your qualities, what makes you you, the unique you. It's a combination of character, your behavior, your emotions, your way of thinking. I mean, there are many. And why we want to tell you about personality development is number one. If you cannot get along with yourself, you cannot get along with other people.
True.
So we must train you, Stephanie, how to deal with your issues first, to know yourself, to understand who you are, before you can even go and project your behavior outside there. So I'll start by telling you that nobody possesses one type of personality.
But before you get into that, is there a difference between a personality and a character?
Sure.
What's the difference?
A great one. Stephanie, personality is who you are, and what you do while others are watching. The way you walk, the way you laugh, the way you enjoy things, that is your personality while we are observing you. Character, on the other hand, is who you are and what you are while we are not watching, when you're alone. Now that is your character.
That is your character.
So when we are doing marital counseling, we tell people you fall in love with the personality, but you have to live with the character. Yes.
So the character is very important.
Very important.
To know the character in a person.
Yes.
And can you change a character or can you change a personality?
No. Interestingly, just like your skin, you cannot change your personality. That is something all Kenyans need to know. All what you can, you hear all these people coming telling you, I want to get married to this person, I know he'll change. He won't.
It's a lie.
He can't. So personality cannot be changed. But there are some aspects, because we'll be looking at personality types. And I'll tell you that for every personality that we look at, there are the good parts and there are the negative parts. So you can modify your personality. We'll be talking about what happens when we talk of personality disorders. Someone like a narcissistic person, he has some elements that you would not like. We are weird ones. So you can modify your negative. Maybe something like aggression. You realize that you're too aggressive, the negative aspect of it. So you can modify, but you can never change a personality. Never be lied to it by anyone. You can't
so tell us about the personality types.
Thank you.
So that we get
I want to start with the most common one, and maybe a little bit difficult to identify. We call it the choleric.
Choleric.
Yes. Now, these are people who are go-getters. A choleric is never discouraged in this life.
Oh yes.
They don't settle for less.
They know what they want and they go for it.
And these people, they're very hardworking, by the way. They end up becoming workaholic. And what work office, even late night working. These are people who are, I started by saying they're very energetic, by the way. These people, other than being go-getters, they use others to climb up there. That's a negative aspect. They can use you, misuse you, and abuse you at the same time. As long as they see life as a project. I have to get to this church. It's a project. What am I gaining from that? So these people end up working too much. They have what we call a military approach. They give orders, a lot of them.
So when you get the fathers in the house that
are, if
the
you have
strict ones, the ones that are like from
I'll
the
come
military.
and tell you what happens if a choleric marries a choleric. You'll be surprised. Because a choleric is this person who does not settle for less. You discourage him, he has a reason to even work harder. For that reason. These people are go-getters and they don't settle for anything. They hate delay. They hate delay. Even in a traffic, it's very easy to identify a choleric.
So patience is not not a virtue for them.
Yes, they have no patience with anyone. So choleric are people who are the bad thing about it. One negative aspect that we can look at is that they believe they are Mr. and Mrs. Know-it-all. They don't delegate. They believe it has to be my way or nobody else's way. I have to be the one doing it.
So can we put a narcissist in this category, or that's just another thing altogether?
I will not want to classify him here because a choleric has a good part, has a good element. It's a personality. Narcissistic, we study it when we are talking about abnormal behaviors.
So it's
abnormal behaviors. Now, there is just the way we have mood disorders, we have sexual disorders, we have personality disorders. These people you hear, they have what you call schizophrenia. It's someone who sees in a world of their own. They see things that are not there. So those are abnormal behaviors. So we'll talk about narcissistic because it's a whole wide topic. But it is good to know because they can abuse you. It is the worst thing that can happen to humankind. When you're dealing with a narcissistic, they bring you down. They bring your esteem down. They are not very good to deal with. So those are choleric that we have just discussed. The second type of personality that we can talk about, and I've not exhausted because they can be wide and wide. And by the end of this show, you should be able to know what personality
I have. I'm trying to place myself somewhere.
We call it melancholic. Now, these are people who I hear people calling them neat freaks. You've ever heard of someone who's neat freak? They want their things done in a certain way. I cannot sleep on a bed if the sheets are not white. They must be white and they must be ironed. Not just ironed. I like my curtain this way. I like my bed this way. I like this.
My cup in this place.
Yes,
so when
once
you move
I'm
it,
done,
there's a problem.
You remove this and you put it here. They're extremely orderly. That is number one. Melancholic people, they are highly scheduled. Highly scheduled. I mean, if we want to take tea with you in the month of December,
you have to plan
you have to book me
earlier, like January.
Earlier. Extremely scheduled. They you have to fit in their plan. So you don't wake up one day and tell them, nataka tuende holiday. They will not attend. They won't.
They are
you
planned
have
out.
to tell them, yes, they are highly scheduled. If you're dealing with maybe a child who is melancholic, these are children, by the time they go to bed, they know where all their toys are properly arranged, and they caution you, ma'am,
don't touch. So when you move it, they know. They know they left it there and you tampered.
These are melancholic. Unfortunately, they can be mean people. Melancholic can be mean people because, so by the way, we are talking about somebody who knows even how much the bank account is. Yourself, nikikuuliza, you know, there's some money in the bank where if you have like 1,000 and maybe some 2 shillings there, you ignore the shillings. They know the exact bank balance. So they have to schedule everything. I'll take so and so out for coffee on this day, and it has to be, and we are going to use this specific to budget.
Wow.
By the way, in terms of spending, they are not overspenders. No, they are very mean in the way they spend their things.
So we can say the stingy people can fall in this
Unfortunately,
category.
it said that they die poor. I don't know why.
So you know, when you don't give,
it, the Bible says
it doesn't
you
come
receive.
back.
Now, something else about these people is that though they are the best workers in any organization, you'd have them as the best workers. One thing to know about these people is that they can, because they're extremely detailed. This is someone who knows this way I keep my cup, this way I keep my what, and my what. When I wake up, I do this and this and this. They may even get late. They don't meet deadlines.
Oh,
they've been busy getting into details.
Oh, they're too much into details.
They're so much into details, so they will not. And even in life, you will find that melancholic might even take longer to get a marriage partner.
Wow.
They're looking for Mr. Perfect. You're looking for this person who already exists in your own world, by the way. Tall, dark, handsome ladies. The lips must be like this, the hair, the eyebrows, and the
eyes have to be believable.
Too detailed.
So you miss out.
Yeah, but actually they're the best workers in any organization because you realize that they'll go into details. They'll go into details. You want things done, give it to a melancholic.
So they're an asset.
You want to plan a wedding, give it to a melancholic. They know the gown, the size, they know the color, they know all these details. They're very creative, by the way.
So they'll do the execution too.
Yes, they'll do the artistic in nature. That's something good about them. So they are highly ordered, highly formal. Okay. These people are very scheduled, extremely scheduled.
So can you say a perfectionist?
Thank you. That's the word.
And is being a perfectionist not a disorder?
No. It's not.
It's okay.
It's a personality.
It's a personality.
I told you for every personality that you have, there is the good part and the bad part. So the bad part is that you might be too much into perfectionism and you end up missing other things. I feel like they don't have their lives. Oh my, what if two of them get married? Oh, what a boring marriage they'll have.
There'll be trouble in that house.
Trouble in that house. But I want things this way and you want this way.
But now a perfectionist living with someone who doesn't live up to their standards, you know.
Again, that is trouble.
It's a trouble.
It's
so you'll tell
because
us,
you find that they will feel intimidated. I mean, a melancholic want their food prepared in a certain way.
Yeah.
So this is a husband, and then gets marries a wife who is cooking what Kenyans call mashakura. So you think they'll eat?
They won't.
He wants the bed made in a certain way, and then you come and make it just the cultural way your mother taught you. You think they'll accommodate that?
So they'll always be
you
quarrel
will feel
and
intimidated.
In that house.
All the other times will be intimidated. Yes. So that is the second personality type.
Okay.
We call them the melancholic people. We go to the third one. Now this one is easy to identify. In any marketplace, in any work, in any what, even here, you will identify. We call them the sanguines.
The sanguine.
The sanguines.
Okay.
Sanguines, they are fun-loving people.
Wow.
These are people who are outgoing.
Yeah, the extroverts.
We actually, in the broader perspective, they are extroverts.
Okay.
Now, the sanguines, these are people, when we are talking about them, forever, anything they do it for a show off.
Okay.
They will be posting in Instagram after every 5 minutes. They are on social media.
Yeah.
They have gotten, for example, maybe it's a lady, she's expectant. 2 weeks. She has just tested positive, so hata hatujaona hiyo mimba. She's there posting and very excited.
Their life is out there.
The whole world must know. Today I'm eating chickens. Do with what? Take a photo.
You have
social media.
You have to see. Okay.
Now those are sanguines.
That's
for you.
Sanguines.
They are people who are lively. Very lively,
fun to be around.
Yes, they hate dull moment, by the way. They don't like dull moment, even on a normal day basis. If you go somewhere, they are very friendly.
Okay.
They make friends very fast.
Very fast.
So if you are maybe I'm sure in high school you used to go for sports day, and this school is meeting with this school and this school. The sanguines, you can see them. By the end of the day, they make the majority of the friends from other schools.
Yeah, and you'll have to know them.
And
you
know your
them
name,
from a
your
crowd.
mother's name, your grandfather's name, your ancestor's name. I mean, they know a lot of details within a short time. Unfortunately, they are indisciplined.
Wow.
The negative aspect of a sanguine, after all these hulabaloo's about them, they're indisciplined. Indisciplined in the sense that they'll never keep time. They're going and they're greeting everybody, so they get late.
Yeah.
But even if they are late and you are the employer there, they'll come and say, "Hi, good morning, how was your weekend?"
They'll
so by the end of the day, you will not punish them.
Yeah.
You won't punish them.
So they know how to have their way around.
Even if they're in a traffic, these are the people who tend to overtake. They're indisciplined anyway. So they are the people who will be honking along and such. Those are sanguines for you. The bad thing with them is that they don't bring their projects to a logical conclusion. They leave it along the way. So they'll start a project
and then they leave it.
They leave it because they don't like boring moments. And for example, if you meet a sanguine at the university, they'll start studying something, a certain career in the arts, in the sciences. Anakaka anasikia kama sciences
this course is not interesting anymore.
Anakaka anasikia, I think I should do interior design. I think so. They'll do so many courses but never finish.
So we should blame that on the personality.
Yes, their personality. Extremely excited. By the way, when you talk about parenting, you realize that parenting is a whole topic altogether. By the way, we shall do it one day. But these people become permissive parenting style. They are on social media. So this child is here saying, "Mommy, teacher said we bring what's due," and you know the CBC nowadays they ask you for anything in the evening. This person has no time for this child. He's busy on social media. So these people are sanguines, in as much as they are lively and everything, their parenting style is questionable. And actually how you are treated dictates what you become as an adult. If you're treated in a harsh way as an adult, you may not initiate a lot of things. If you are treated by somebody who didn't even care much about you, even in future you try to pick some of these qualities, you know, so equally not care much.
The children of this type of personality, they tend to become, they feel neglected because their parents are always busy with their life and everything.
When we're doing teaching people about parenting skills, one of the things you realize is that kids don't necessarily follow what you say. They're not there.
They see what you do.
They copy what you are doing. So in future they know daddy likes the latest tablet. The latest, because one thing I didn't tell you about sanguines is that their life is not real. They can get loans to manage their lifestyle. I need an Apple phone, the latest Mercedes Benz, the latest one. Even if I can't afford it, I'll still get it. So that is the bad thing about
most of what we see in social media, the people, you know, the fake life,
things are
those
not
are
real.
sanguines.
Don't kill yourself because of social media.
Don't kill yourself.
Someone who goes to Sarova White Sand, takes photos there and tells you, guys, this is what I'm doing. Chunguza sana. These guys are just somewhere around. So for me, sanguines, they are the life of the party. They are outgoing and they have a lot of energy. A lot. In fact, when they are speaking, they use a lot of gestures. They have to explain to you with words and with everything, throwing hands up in the air. Those are sanguines for you. Yes.
And the fourth one?
So we've talked about melancholy. I mean, we started with choleric people who are go-getters. We came to melancholic people, highly scheduled and ordered.
The perfectionist.
We talked about sanguines, people who are lively, outgoing, and all those. We talk about the fourth, we call them the temperament. The fourth temperament is phlegmatic. If you are to observe these people, it's easy to note them. They are quiet. They are calm. They are relaxed. They are friendly. They make friends, and they don't like drama. While sanguines are dramatic, the drama queens and the drama king, you should see sanguines divorcing, by the way. They divorce in public. And they call names of all the animals that exist in this universe. These others will divorce quietly. They are quiet. They are reserved. They are very friendly, and we tend to call them, I don't use the word empath because again empath is an extreme personality, but they're empathetic. You know, to be empathetic is when you put yourself in my shoes, you understand my pain and my sorrows and my joys, you take them to be yours. You know, those are phlegmatic people. Phlegmatic people, unfortunately, in as much as tumewapatia sifa nyingi that they are friendly, they are calm, they don't like drama. If you are quarreling with them, if you're quarreling with a sanguine, you'll quarrel towards the end. But if you quarrel with a choleric, you will fight. But if you quarrel with the phlegmatic, they'll just be quiet. Hata utashanga unamuuliza nini. Because they will not answer you back.
At the end of the day,
they are quiet. They won't answer you back. They won't fight back. They are quiet, godly from outside, because we can never tell what is in the inside. Unfortunately, they are lazy.
So this is interesting.
They don't take initiative. They don't. They will not volunteer much because I said earlier, they don't like being in the limelight. Hawapendi kuonekana. So they just like being reserved and to themselves and such. So if you're dealing with these people, I'm always told that they're the best leaders. They are the best leaders.
Wow.
And because life is not all about work. It's about friendship. So they nurture friendships. And even in marriage, they could be the best, maybe wife material or something. But I do not want to say that, because I know people will say, oh, I was told to marry. No. You marry someone that you feel you're compatible with, because again, for every personality there's a positive and a negative aspect. So the phlegmatic people, they follow a certain routine.
Okay.
If you go to a phlegmatic, akieka kiti pale, meza hapa, TV hapa, you might find it that way the next 20 years. They don't like change. I say they are comfortable with the status quo.
Where they are. So, okay, Zephora, thank you. This is just interesting. We have not even gotten to half of it. And I'm being told that time is up. So I would want us to continue with this conversation someday, and to get into, you know, matters of introverts and extroverts, to just know from the broader perspective, and to know how these personalities are compatible, how we can, you know, mix them up, you know, how they relate, and also to understand the different personality disorders that are there, so that we know how to enhance our personalities. So thank you again for gracing us and, you know, helping us understand the different personalities. We'd love to have you again.
You're welcome. I'll be glad to come and tell people that they should just know to get along with yourself. You'll be able to get along with others, so that you avoid projecting behaviors. Behaviors can be projected. If you have a weakness, there's a tendency to pass it over. If you're parenting, your parenting skills will affect even this child. So I'm glad.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And with that, we come to a close on this conversation. But Doreen is coming up next with yet another very interesting conversation. So don't go anywhere. We take a small breath. I will be back.
Mungelikuwa umenisikiza toka awali asingefikia hapa.
I'm asking you, what are you doing outside? Do you know the break time was over 10 minutes ago?
Kate hayupo hai. Sio imetosha?
Wewe umemua wewe.
Tawe niambie, nini yongangania mali ya watu? Si wapi tu mali yao.
Ninachokitafuta hapa ni personal. Na sihitaji mlinzi.
Perfection. You dream of a minute.
Welcome back to the program. This is still Good Morning Kenya. Time for our last conversation this Monday morning. And we continue with our family check segment. We want to talk about silent treatment, not just in marriages, but in all kinds of relationships. And my guest this morning is Penina Maluli. Carries many hats, but for the purpose of this conversation, we'll go with a motivational speaker, stroke a counselor. Welcome to the program, Penina.
Thank you.
All right, let's just start from understanding what it means when you talk about silent treatment, and this cuts across all kinds of relationships.
Yes. Silent treatment is a way of trying to withdraw conversation when maybe you are hurt or you have disapproval over something, and you don't want to communicate. You want like to act in a way that you draw attention, or maybe you want to. It could be abusive, and it could be a way of trying to bring out a way of communication. Usually it's after an argument or when people are not communicating the right way. So someone can use silence as a treatment to bring back or even to stay away. Yeah.
All right, so at what point would we say that now this is silent treatment in terms of which periods of communication? Could be like an hour, a day or two. At what point are we saying that now this is actually silent treatment?
Yeah, there's a difference between silence and silence treatment.
Okay.
Silent treatment. So when it goes beyond 2, 3, 4 hours, a day or a month or a week, that is silent treatment. And it could be abusive, and it hurts the receiving person. If it's me who has been hurt, I'm hurting someone, and I'm trying to be silent to cause them to realize who I am, or maybe to cool off after an argument. If it is possible, it should not go for more than hours or a day. But sometimes you find, because of not knowing how to bring it out, you may even extend to more time, which is wrong. Yes.
Now, talking about that cooling off, because I mean, I tend to think that it's a bit necessary, especially, and this is maybe particular also for married couple, you know, whereby there's this argument, and I'm thinking, I don't want to talk more because I might say something I might regret. So I want to keep quiet just to cool off. So then, in this kind of scenario, can we say it's healthy to be on silent on your partner with this kind of circumstance?
It could be positive, it could be negative.
Okay.
So it depends on how you bring it in. Because when you choose to cool off, you take time and cool off, you think through. Because when you are silent and you're not planning to hurt this person, you may be cooling off to look at a way of entry, and the best way, even if you want to bring it back, is to use an I statement. You don't look like I'm accusing you. You start like, I think I was wrong. I think we can discuss. So you kind of bring the blame on the side of the person who is being hurt. So if let's say the silent person has cooled off and is still not communicating, you can also try to be silent and let them bring the flow back.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Steph has just had a very interesting conversation right now when you talk about temperaments, and we obviously know that introverts, form the melancholic, and phlegmatics form the better part of the introverts kind of temperament.
Yes.
And someone would say for introverts, they really like a lot of their own time, their own space, my me time. So, and good number of times they are often into a mode of silence. Can also this fall under kind of silent treatment, especially if you have a family member, a colleague, or even a spouse who falls under this kind of temperament?
And those kind of people, usually they use silence. Sometimes it's not meant to be negative, but when they withdraw, they are able to think through. Because let me tell you, sometimes silence is a good weapon and can be bad. So when they have withdrawn, it's the way they are, because of that kind of personality that they have. When there's heated argument, they kind of withdraw and keep quiet. And when they are quiet, they're able to think through how to bring it back. Or maybe such a person may also become abusive because they always go back to silent treatment. It becomes like a norm, like a behavior that they have adapted, which is wrong. So it is good. It is good, and it can be used negatively. But if it is brought in a positive way, and both, let's say the spouses choose to be quiet for some time, and maybe cool off and bring back, it is possible to bring a solution that is lasting. But let it not be a norm, like a behavior. Every time something happens, someone withdraws in silence.
And don't use your temperament saying that to actually be silent on your partner, or even a colleague or a family member. All right, now there's this other aspect, even as I talk about the kind of silent treatment, because I was reading an article and it just made me understand that it's linked to it being hurtful or very painful because of it being intertwined with sort of like being a physical kind of pain. So someone may want to understand, I mean, it's just me not talking to you. It could be hurtful, yes, but why is it so painful?
You know, when you are silent, silence is a bad way of communication, because there are people who fight. It's better to fight even than to be silent. in fact, another name of it's called, it is a silent murder. It's like you're killing someone by not talking to them. So it is sometimes it's better even to quarrel. It's not good to quarrel, but I think it will be a better way of having an agitated argument and solve it than being silent for 2 days because you don't know what that person is thinking. Then this one also will also, if it's a marriage, you know, obviously the intimacy will have to be stopped. Because when there is no communication, when you are not happy, there are things that you cannot be able to do. So you kind of start having that break. And that break can go far and bring problem to you. So it is always good, if it is possible, don't make it an abusive thing. But someone can make, there are people who are, maybe you know you have done something wrong. Then you are trying to use silence in a way just to intimidate someone, not to ask you what you have done. So it can be used positive and negative, because if you choose to cool off and be quiet and think through, you may come out with a very productive solution and be able to move on. But if you choose to be using it over and over again, it becomes abusive and it hurts the receiving person. Kama ni mimi ndio nanyamaziwa, sema kama wewe ndio nanyamaziwa, unajua utaona kama I'm rejected, I'm abused, I'm dishonored and all that. Then your mind cannot work. You know, when you're not happy, even you don't even plan anything. It's like all your mind goes into, why is he doing this to me? And you're not able even to plan anything. So you are like in a state of also in, ni kama umesimama until this comes. Not unless you are used to maybe, okay, you cool off, I cool off, then wait. Who will bring the flow back? You wait and see who brings the flow back, which is not good.
Okay, and we'll come to how we can resolve that and try to at least particularly narrow it down to marriages as we conclude the conversation. But before we get there, let's come a bit to background. Because, again, one would say, when I was growing up, I never saw my parents resolving issues. When I was growing up, anytime there was a bit of tension in the house, my dad always walked away. Or my mom just would cook, bring food, and say, machakula ndo hiyo. So as I'm getting into marriage, that's how I've been accustomed and encultured. So I'm carrying this also into marriage. So does it mean that when it comes to some of these attitudes and habits that we form, could also be as a result of background and how we were brought up?
Yeah, you know where you grow up and what you have learned and what you have seen happening. It's very it is usual to be able to capture it and bring it to be your own. Yeah. So sorry. Yeah. So if I've learned, it's a learning behavior. If maybe as a daughter you grew up where the silence was the mode, you may like it, and you may also not like it, because you also saw other families. And not nowadays people learn. You don't wait just what you saw at your home. We have Mr. Google, we call him Mr. Google.
Teacher Google.
Yeah, so sometimes you need also to learn more. Don't just look at what you saw when you are growing up and what was happening. That's what brings you out. You can always be able to learn more and be able to balance. See, if this kind of a person goes this way and this one went this way, which is the best? But if maybe you loved your mother so much or your father so much and they chose to walk away, you'll start walking away. Yeah, it is possible to have background problems which come into your how you take things up.
Okay, fine, well enough. Now let's come to how we can solve this, because I mean, even as we're having this conversation off air, we established that this not only just happens in marriages, even in a work setup, in a family setup. So let's come to ways of resolving this kind of habit, because as it stands, much as there could be a bit of some advantage to it when it comes to especially cooling off after an argument, the bigger chunk is it's not beneficial.
It's not beneficial at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
From your practice, even as a counselor, have you encountered such kind of cases? And which part forms a bigger majority? Is it people from a family setup or a marriage kind of setup?
I've had cases for marriage. I've had cases of relationship, maybe in place of work, or where people live. So, what I would say generally, it is not a good norm, but usually it can be used positively. If you take it on the positive way, you can use it the best way. That's why you find we do team building in places of work, because by the end of the year in the workplace, mumegongana sana, si ni kweli? That's why you usually go for team building and try to solve these things. You find you do games that will give you communication, games that you do. That's exactly one of the things that we do. So it is very good. It is good to use it, and it's also negative. But cooling off and having a way of solving problem, it is the best way to handle. Yes, whether in marriage or whether in a person, even in family. Conflict is inevitable.
Yeah.
And you can never stop it. And when you find people who are having a flow of communication in any relationship, someone is lying. You could be acting. You're not practical. Being cosmetic is
and
usually
conflict is healthy.
Yeah, there's a lot of cosmetic in relationships, which is not from the heart. And what happens for this thing to come to happen and that silence to happen? There's a root problem, which you need to get to the root. Maybe it's in a marriage. You can look at so you can start to come to being silent and start acting in this way. What really happened, and what could be the cause problem? Because there's something that maybe communication ilikuwa imekatika mahali, maybe in bedroom, let's say in marriage. Then you find there are a lot of cracks, and that brings a problem. When it's in a workplace, maybe kuna jealousy. Usually jealousy, communication in a workplace is the main problem that we usually have. Maybe I'm hiring your seat, or our boss is favoring you more. That opens a door for jealousy, of course, and that will cause people maybe to be silent on you, because they don't know, if I attack you, how will my boss react? Because they don't know the relationship has gone to what level. So that's one way now to look at it. Yes.
And communication is actually supposed to solve this kind of
communication is key. Even for the silence to come, you will find there was a breakdown of communication. Communication is key. Yes.
Let's take this scenario. I mean, whether in the workplace or even in that marriage, because again, as you're establishing, looks like communication is just the underlying factor and one of those major things. You've constantly been talking to your partner or talking to your boss about this particular issue, but they just don't seem to listen to you.
And
they say there's verbal and nonverbal kind of communication.
Yes. When you are quiet, nobody understands what you want. You are spoken. Tuseme nimekuja nimeongea kitu, amsikii. Then I choose to keep quiet. I'm speaking louder than speaking with words. And it is painful.
Yeah.
Even when it is your boss, you can intimidate your boss by being silent, because they don't understand what you want. Maybe you are maybe you are a performer, they don't want to lose you. And maybe someone was planning to intimidate you in your place of work, and you choose to be silent. They will come. They will ask for a floor to discuss. And always, after cool off, a floor of discussion, as I've said, always, whoever brings it back and tries to bring solution back, try to use a I statement. Don't say you. Don't try to accuse. And if possible, try to apologize. If there is, I usually say that humility is very cheap, but it sounds very expensive, because there is pride in us. Because all this silence and everything, there is pride that is attached to it. And when there is pride, there must be someone to bring this pride down. One person must come down. And that humility has to come. So maybe you choose to apologize, even when you are not wrong.
Just choosing to be the bigger person.
Yeah.
All right, there's that statement that you keep using all the time, which you've actually mentioned. You keep doing this. I've told you countless times. You keep repeating it. So instead of actually using you, because again, we always fall prey to saying that, and it's the easiest thing to say. Since you're talking about communication being the basis of also trying to solve this kind of treatment, what do we need to say? How do we need to approach, even as you're communicating?
When one thing about communication moves together with trust.
Okay.
Because if we break communication, there comes distrust. And there's and why should this be happening? Could there be someone coming between us? And you start thinking abroad. So when communication and trust and jealousy comes together, there can be destruction. But if you bring out jealousy and let me trust and communicate, all these things will be off you. But they are inevitable, and we'll have them always.
Okay.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense. I think what I'm drawing from this kind of conversation, perhaps also what our viewers are learning, is that at the end of the day, communicate.
But it's also good to be silent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's some benefits to it.
There's a benefit.
To some extent, helps you regain your power a bit.
You can get used to me so much. And maybe always I answer this way, So when I keep quiet, you will draw something different from me.
Okay.
Yeah, and I will have communicated in a different way.
Okay.
Yes.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time, Penina, and just at least for helping us understand about what we can do, given it's actually a common scenario, not just in marriages, but even in a work setup, as well as a family kind of setup. Asante sana. And that has been our conversation on silent treatment, at least surrounding relationships of all kinds, trying to narrow it down to marriages. My guest this morning has been Penina Maluli, who is a counselor as well as a motivational speaker, demystifying and unpacking for us more about this kind of silent treatment, especially in marriages. Many thanks for making time. I'm Doreen Arange Okelo on behalf of the entire team. Till tomorrow, good morning.
Hii ni Mitikasi Leo, makala kutoka BBC. Yaliomo: ukuaji wa sekta ya filamu barani Afrika. Tunazungumza na mtayarishaji wa filamu ya Tanzania ambayo imeanza kuonyeshwa Netflix. Baadaye tunachambua mtazamo wa ukuaji wa uchumi katika eneo la Afrika Mashariki mwaka huu. Kisha tuna mengi zaidi kuhusu michuano ya kombe la mataifa ya Afrika AFCON inayotarajiwa kuanza Jumapili hii huko Cameroon. Tunakuja kutoka Nairobi, Kenya. Twende kazi.